Tonight. Good? Is anybody here for their first time? First time ever been here? Great, great. We're in here every Monday. We come into these classes to talk about political remedy for our people in the sense of talking about what we call genocide that occurred in slavery and denationalization. The only difference between our communication and the regular communication is that we have set up some operations to actually bring about remedy in those particular areas. And instead of entitlement under reparations, it's more titled under self-administered reparations. So we have set up many different modalities, institutions, health, law, a number of other areas to assist our people at having the things that they go and beg other people for. Employment, the ability to produce for themselves through that employment, keep maintaining their health. A lot of people trying to get health care, don't know if they can get health care, needed Obama to sign legislation to get health care. So we take it upon ourselves that we need to understand ourselves at a much greater level. And I think tonight's class might change your life, especially if you have a pen and a pad, because you're going to hear some things that you've never heard before. And if you have someone in your family that is suffering from an ailment, any type of ailment, we need you to know why they're suffering as a person of African descent, what is happening to our people in regards to nutrition, medicine, etc., and what level of education that you need in order to assist yourself at not getting the bad report of I have cancer, I have HIV, I have these other things, and then not knowing what to do. So we have solved that problem for you. That problem is solved. If you desire to embark upon getting your family members who are suffering from those ailments to get those things done. And the most important part is, it's all done under our proper nationality and jurisdiction. Without which, you'll be left to try to depend on religious exemptions for your vaccinations, arguing with people in hospitals on whether or not you want to sign certain documents or give over certain rights. And that perpetual cycle is the result of us not having the knowledge, the know-how, or maybe the courage to move forward as a people with some level of autonomy. So when you hear the terms Aboriginal Republic of North America, International Indigenous Society, those terms are entities or the national group that is assisting our people under the concept of self-administered reparations. And it's not something philosophical. It's not based on belief. It's not based on any of those things. It's based on finding remedy for people who have been injured. With that being said, I'm going to get out of the way. We have a few speakers tonight, and each speaker who's going to speak tonight, please pay attention, because the information that will be given, you've never heard it before. Not only have you never heard it, you probably never experimented with it before, and the people who are going to talk are people who are in professions and who can show the results of their work in the health field. Not only that, there's nowhere in the world you can go right now to hear the type of science that you're going to hear tonight. Nowhere. And that's my statement and my position. What needs to be done is that needs to be challenged. So we have myself, I'm going to speak, Minister Enqi from the Amber Institute. Give him a round of applause. Brother George Bess, our young firebrand health researcher, is going to bring some very powerful information that I know you can. I'm going to bring up right now the infamous Abundance Child. Do she need an introduction? If you don't know her, Sister Abundance Child is probably the most prolific person in regards to media that I know in our time in regards to elevating the consciousness of the sisters. I don't know anybody else. Do y'all know anybody else?
No.
Okay, thank you. You need to give her another round of applause there. And she's going to talk about whatever she wants to talk about, but I know that she's going to discuss the Order of the Mother Earth, which is at the core of our rise as a people. And I don't have anything else to say except that this woman is absolutely magnificent. So we need to give her another round of applause as she comes in.
As he said, I'm going to speak about the Order of Mother Earth and the Girls Society, which are two organizations that I founded out of the need for us to have a true rites of passage for our young girls, which is the Girls Society, and a sisterhood amongst us sisters. The reason why I'm doing that is because I think that we don't have the luxury to not get along with each other anymore. As humans and as sisters amongst each other, we're supposed to birth the new world into existence. The new world is our future. The new world is the next generation. The new world is our perfection. The new world is our understanding. That's why they call it the best part. So in order to do that, I had to create these types of organizations in order to, funnel these things through. One of the main reasons that I thought about was that in our relationships amongst each other, whether they're professional, whether they're personal, we have a hard time forgiving one another. But yet, just by virtue of us standing right here, we have forgiven everybody else of things that no man, no mother, no father, no brother, no sister has ever committed against us that has been committed against us as the crimes of humanity. However, we have a hard time dealing with the people of the same complexion. So I can't really speak to the brothers, but I can speak to the sisters because I've gone through the rites of passage of molestation, of rape, of mental abuse, of verbal abuse, of domestic abuse, all types of things a lot of us sisters have gone through. And then we're going on to raise children. 75% of us are raising babies, male and female, on our own, without men. And then out of that 75%, 60% of us have gone through these abuses. So that's why we have women who are highly masculine and men that are highly feminine. So what I did with the Order of Mother Earth and with the Girls Society is I created an Islamic organization because Islam is the only thing that we have, in my personal opinion, and as the head mother in charge, that's what I teach in those organizations. And that is the only way that we're going to teach these sisters how to not, deal with white supremacy and the feminization of our sons, and for the women to start getting some type of discipline. I'm not saying that that is the only way. However, that is what we use in the Order of Mother Earth, and that's what we use in the Girls Society. The Girls Society mission is to uplift fallen humanity one girl at a time. Our vision is to become the preeminent organization for females, Aboriginal and Indigenous in the entire world, intercontinentally. How are we going to do that? By creating economic sustainability in the communities that we serve, starting with our own community, our own constitution, our own government of self, going out to our families and then our communities. As far as the Order of Mother Earth, our job is to protect the womb, guard the sisterhood, and bring forth the new world into existence. How do we do that? We do that by teaching each sister that comes in to have game, to have your own godly ability to master everything. Everybody has it, except we're too busy being in a box, going to school, working for somebody else, while at the same time we can't keep a relationship with our children, our mothers, our fathers, and our mates. So I teach women to stop. Find your game. What is your godly ability to master everything? You write it down at your initiation. You get a book. In your book, you are to write down every single thing that you want, every single thing that you need. I don't care if it's the color car you want. I don't care if it's the color eyes that he has. I don't care if it's the name of your children. You write it down. Then we take that and we create a real business plan, your real family plan, your real plan, a business plan. Because we're so busy spending everybody else's money. Everybody else got shoes and shirts and clothes on and things like that. I guarantee wherever you got those clothes from, however you got here, that company had a business plan. We need to have business plans as women, because as women, we are the head mothers in charge. We are in charge of the government, and these brothers are our law enforcers, and they cannot do their job if we don't have a true constitution and government of ourselves. So all the sisters are required to come up with their game. Godly ability to manifest everything. Once you've done that, for me, for example, I'm good with the food. So I'll create a sister circle. We did the culinary sleepovers, and I teach women how to make some chocolate chip cookie bars. We're watching a movie, and all of the snacks, I showed them how to make that full-fledged breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because that's what I do. I'm good with the food. All right? And so I teach somebody the girls who are interested in that, how to feed themselves and things like that. That's my game. At the same time, I'm also very good with businesses. I got at least 6 different businesses of my own, all Aboriginal, all Indigenous. I teach everybody how to come up with their business plan. Our job as women is to come up with our game and then pass it down to another sister. Those girls are from ages 7 to 20. And that's basically it. You can go to girlsociety.org. For the Girl Society, all women have to start out with that, Order of Mother Earth. We're not recruiting. You have to be referred. You have to be on your game in order to be a part of that organization, because this situation is so fragile. We're not endangered. We are becoming an endangered. We're not endangered anymore. We're becoming an endangered species. And the only way that we're able to do that is if we stick with our own. I'm not apologetic about anything. We don't deal with miscegenation. We don't deal with homosexuality. We don't deal with none of that type of stuff. We stay with our own. We are highly civilized. We understand the difference between the private, and we understand the difference between the public. In the private, the Most High, nature is sovereign. We understand that. We understand who we are in government. And in the public, we understand the state and all those types of things, which purports to be the most dominant entity on the universe, is running everything. We're civilized, so we don't have to act a certain type of way. We act humane. That's how we treat everybody. We handle our business in the street. And how we handle our business in the street is by having our own successful businesses. We're not going to get our toothpaste, our deodorant, our hair cream, any of that type of stuff from anybody else. We're completely self-sustainable. And everybody's in Order Mother Earth. Everybody has to be growing their own food. Everybody has to be doing their own thing. You're not going to be a part of the Order Mother Earth and then be having a job working for somebody else. That doesn't make sense. We have to have our own. So that's basically it. And I just wanted to come up here and let y'all know that that's what that movement is about. I'm going to be a little bit more open about it. You're going to see more sisters coming out talking about it. Right now we have about 100 and something women. I just registered a few more in North Carolina. I'm taking on new sisters every day. It's highly personal. Everybody works on an individual basis. When you come in, you have to do a 40-day fruit fast. When you come in, you have to do a talk fast. When you come in, you have to clean up your house. You have to get rid of everything that you haven't done, you haven't used in the past 6 months to a year. You got to get yourselves together. We cannot act like we are about uplifting fallen humanity and act like we are about this. We're about being genetically, better and superior, but we're really not doing it. So my job is to take care of the sisters, and that's pretty much it. Peace.
Yes. Y'all ready for that, sisters? I know the brothers ready. Like, I'm sending my wife tomorrow. Yeah. Give it up again for Sister Abundance Child. And we can't express as men enough how important it is to have sisters like that who have the interest and have dedicated their lives to the improvement of our women, and they should get our full support. Full support. So before Abundance leaves, she actually needs to show us the link of how to donate. So we're going to take a break. I will put it on the computer so we can see, because we need brothers to understand that if we don't support our women, guess what? Other men will. Other men will. Because they understand the value in her. And if we're not going to understand the value in her, and they are, we lose. And then we thus turn into the pimps, the pushes, the players, and all the other stuff. So we really need to recognize the importance of the people who are in our immediate space. and us being in our own immediate space, because I often say to my children and to anybody who's around us, the answers to all of your problems are in you and the people who are immediately around you. And instead of you reaching way out through TV to Beyonce and trying to figure out how you're going to get to the tour and pay $300 for the tickets, you need to slow down and look right 10 to 20 feet amongst you to see where your answers are. So the next brother I'm going to bring out is an answer. I'm recruiting him right now for the Aboriginal Medical Association, because the level of knowledge that we have walking around us in the streets will blow our mind. So Brother George Bess, who is a health researcher and has developed something, which I'm not going to say what it is, I'm going to let him say what it is, because it's never been developed in the way that he's developed. A few years ago, when we developed the phototropic heterotrophic paradigm, what we were trying to do is show people of said African descent that their biologies are completely different than other people's. And in doing so, we were addressing the factor that that biology is under attack more than any other biology on the planet, which we'll prove tonight. And therefore, when you start trying to figure out whether you're going to be a vegetarian, a vegan, or all these other things, what is not being addressed there is your particular biological makeup and what will unlock the power and keep the health in that makeup. The books that you want to purchase to discuss that cost $500, $600, $700. And they're being written by people who don't have the melanin. So what is their interest? So we can't make some fly-by-night health paradigm that is untested and say, good, just fast and eat greens. Because if the person has a thyroid problem, what do you look like giving them kale and broccoli that's going to give them further problems? Because you have to study in order to know that those particular things are going to cause a problem. And if you don't know, then you have to defer to someone like the brother who's going to come up. All right? So give it up for my young brother, who is probably the most brilliant researcher that I know amongst the young brothers, Brother George Bess. You got a marker. We need to write something.
Peace and black power, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Pick up a little bit.
I'm not used to talking really loud, so you're going to have to bear with me. You got the mic on this, right?
I got the mic on you, but you still got to speak
on video. If you need to go back and watch it on video.
Yeah, you're going to have to amplify.
Yeah, you have to amplify that, George. You let him down, though.
We can do.
Move up, move up.
We could all bring it in a little closer. If we could do that, we could all get what the messages I got to bring up, because it's going to be a PowerPoint as well. So I'm going to be basically talking about biology and my own paradigm and how I've been able to heal myself from various diseases with what I call the nutrient retention rate. So I've had eczema. I had the standard American diet when I was growing up. I'm just going to give a little bit about myself. I had the standard American diet when I was growing up, and I had what would be perceived as good health.
You gotta amplify that. You start over, baby.
I don't have to start it over. Right now, I'm gonna get right into the presentation. This is a tribute to consciousness. And what we're here to do is to build consciousness with the information we have, with the talents we have right in our community. So, this is a tribute to consciousness and to my father, George Bowler, who's pretty much from right here in Harlem. And he taught me a lot about naturopathic healing. He taught me a lot about my Native American or Indigenous American history long before I ever saw a Olmec head or a she head. To know about all these things. But then it all started to come together when I started to learn how to heal my body. And so the consciousness gets developed with health. So that's basically what I'm going to be speaking on. Can you all hear me still?
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Next slide. All right, so that's George Bowler. That's my father. He was born outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. He pretty much grew up on a farm. So I'm basically, my mom and my father grew up on a farm. So I'm basically the first generation inside of the city life. And it's important to understand if you're living within the city, the tri-state area, or anywhere in an industrial polluted zone, that you listen close to this information, because this is how I've been able to assist myself with healing from so many degenerative diseases like eczema, cancer, a bone marrow infection. I used to do mixed martial arts, so I had a lot of injuries based on bruising, and I'll go into all that with the slides. So I'm gonna keep trying to talk loud to you guys. And so I'll talk about my father a little bit. You can pretty much see on the slide that I just wanted to give a background on the Native American aspect of it and talk about how this indigenous society is based on trying to rectify what's happened to our community and our identity, which is key for psychological development. Now, I'm also a mental health counselor. I've been a mental health counselor for over 14 years. Since I was 14 years old, I was involved in a high school program with a company that was targeting inner city youth who had grown up in traumatic situations. So from 14 years old, I had to go into workshops to develop an understanding of how traumas influence social behavior. So since 14, I'm about to be 29 on August 7th. So I look a little young, but I'm a little older than I may look, and that's due to my health, and that's something I also want to promote. And pretty much my father died when I was 13 years old, and he was a naturopathic healer, and he basically used cayenne pepper. He ate beans for protein, or as far as that paradigm when he thought he was eating beans for protein, and he did really well with his health. But then there was an incident one day where he was working on a project with my uncle, and my uncle accidentally sprayed some WD-40 down his throat, and it ended up giving him a degenerative issue that he couldn't handle with his level of knowledge within the health paradigm at that time by using the herbs that he knew about. And he ended up going and seeking medical attention at a hospital in New York City, and they flooded his body with the dehydrating medicines that are used in the hospitals today, and he ended up dying when he was 53 years old. 53 years old is really young for our genetics, and there's a lot of that information I'm going to try to cover, because I've only got 15 minutes, but I'm going to try to cover as much as I can. So, next slide, because I don't want to dwell too much. An introduction to myself. I already talked a little bit about myself, but my mom was a vegetarian for over 20 years before she had me, and this plays a key role in genetic development. So by my mom being a vegetarian for 20 years, and then she later transitioned into being a pescatarian, eating fish, which she still is today, which I don't condone. She actually she actually degraded in her level of health because of family pressures due to weight issues. And that's one thing I want to talk about, and that's the most important thing I'm really going to be talking about today. And it has to do with being able to retain nutrient levels. So that's probably going to be in the next slide. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I've had a lot of injuries in my life, and I've had everything from broken bones, gashes. I've been sliced in environments where I was in hostile territories, where I was growing up in an ignorant society, basically the ignorant societal paradigm of white supremacy that led to what we see as gang violence and issues within the inner city, as well as the overall projected image of black people that influences behavior and what's popular. So let's see, I had arthritis from various injuries. I've healed myself from all of these things, and so I'm going to show some pictures later on about how I looked when I was younger to explain some of my health paradigm too. So I had impingements, ligament tears, I had terminal illnesses. I spent three weeks in the hospital on IV. When I had a bone marrow infection back in 2008, I ended up getting into a scuffle, and a person's tooth went through my knuckle plate, and I thought it was just a broken arm or broken knuckle. So I ended up splinting it myself. 7 days later, it was basically inflamed, large and purple. My hand was pretty much out to here, and I couldn't even get out of bed to drive myself to the hospital. And that was a unique situation that I'll elaborate on later on in life, because I had a very personal connection with the hospital, and I learned a lot of information based on my girlfriend at the time, who was a nurse, actually in the nursing program at Stony Brook University. I don't know if I should be talking about all the details and facts, but whatever, it is what it is, it's all true. So basically, I got an inside view of how the hospital works and the types of system. These guys touched on it, but the systematic destruction of our genetics based on ignorance and biowarfare. So I'll go into that if I have a little more time. Let's see. I've been a mental health counselor professionally for 7 years, working with a company out in Long Island, and I was handing out basically the only thing that we have as far as mental health drugs are metabolization inhibitors, vasodilators, vasorestrictors, like you heard Inky talk about in some of his videos. Basically what they do is restrict blood flow to the brain or increase blood flow to the brain or restrict hormonal and neurotransmitter activity. So I've learned all about the allopathic medical paradigm, and I had first-hand experience handing out detrimental pills to people for years and years. And in my own development, I started to try to experiment with the people who I was working with because I was in a controlled environment where I had the ability to put people on diet plans and exercise plans. So I myself took advantage of that opportunity and started to issue diet changes, which started to transition into what I was getting feedback from doctors as far as the notes that we would send back. And I was able to see the reduction of their dependency on the petrochemical and fungus chemical-based medicines that are out there and the chemicals that are deprived of what's needed for the body to facilitate them in a way that's organic. So I want to talk a little bit about that and the mental health paradigm later on in my slides. Let's see, my father died when I was 13. That's a form of trauma that I've had to go through and deal with inside. I've had a lot of traumas, and in order to stabilize my mind, in order to be able to utilize it for the type of focus that it takes in order to do this type of work and learn what I'm about to present to you, it really takes some self-digging and dietary changes to rid your body of the things that inhibit your brain function and development, as well as your body's replication of cells and your DNA and gene expression. Let's see, I want to talk a little bit about racism. I don't need to do that here because I'm pretty sure all of you know about racism, that's why you're here. My experience with addiction to prescription medication, when I was 15 years old, I was diagnosed with pneumonia. The same thing that my father died from the allopathic medicines. He was diagnosed with pneumonia. Basically, it was from the petrochemicals that were inside of the WD-40. I'm not loud enough?
No.
Keep telling me to talk louder. My mouth a little dry. I did a lot of working out today. But just bear with me. You can watch it. Again, I'm pretty sure it's going to be on readyforart.com.
Higher.
It's going to be good. Higher? You might hear me. Trust me, man. It wastes a lot of energy. These people don't know yet. Matter of fact, I can go right into why I don't talk loud. One of the symptoms of candida overgrowth is talking loud. So when you're in the hood and you see people talking loud, you wonder why they're rude and disrespectful. It's because they lack tact due to candida literally influencing their central nervous system and their parasympathetic nervous system. So this is actually a symptom that we're used to talking loud, but really it wastes a lot of the biological energy, and I hate wasting my energy. I do a lot of energy conservation, especially because I'm here in the city. It's very important. I took a train here, and that's a hell of an environment. You can see the signs that say rat poison sprayed in like 2008. You think every time a train goes by, that's not kicking up rat poison? So I'm going to teach you about how to avoid these types of things, or at least improve the conditions within your own environment that can help you improve your health. That's what this is really about, as well as the mental aspect of it. So let's see. Right now, I'm currently doing consultations, and I'm writing grants and trying to develop an environment where we can generate interest in the conscious community into the sciences and the biology that really are going to get our people out of this situation. So what Minister Enqi and Dr. Ali do is pivotal to us having a revolution within our community, within the black community. It's about biology. There's not going to be a violent revolution. If anybody's talking violent revolution, they're going to get you killed for no reason because that's not our way. That's not the way we're developed. And I know about violence. I've taught martial arts. I've been involved in self-defense systems to the point where I've developed myself and broken my body down and rebuilt it. And right now, and I'll tell you the most important aspect of martial arts is the healing aspect. It's when you learn about the herbs, when you learn about the alchemical reaction with the sun and baking minerals into your body, and the assimilation of nature into your body, and why some people on this planet have a harder time assimilating nature, but we have remedies for that. So even if they weren't spoken on before, those are things that I'm ultimately going to be covering. All right, next slide. So these are pictures of me of how I looked at various ages. Now, I'm about to be 29 on August 7th. Now, these are me under cellular inflammation. This is a genetically modified human being right now. Due to my diet, due to the things that I was consuming, I wasn't even the type of dude who ate whatever. I was still partially. I didn't even drink soda at the age of 15. I stopped drinking soda because I broke my bones too many times. I was trying to figure out why, and then I found out that carbonation causes osteoporosis, which is something I later on found out when I was doing saltwater fish. I was a saltwater fish technician, and I learned about how calcium reactors basically strip out calcium by using carbonation, or basically carbonation, which we get when we drink sodas or even seltzer waters, that basically strip out minerals and break down your bone cells. And we used to use that process to put minerals in the saltwater environment. So I'm under cellular inflammation. The foods that I was consuming were altering my body's structure. So beef burgers, so I was getting the big arms because I had the hormones running through me that animals have running through them to tell their bodies how to develop. So all my life, people have been telling me, yo, George, you the man. Yo, I was a pro athlete. I mean, I was the same size. Well, actually, I was the same height at 14 as I am right now. I'm 5'10" and a half. I was the same height. I was a grown-ass man playing Little League Baseball, just stunting on everybody with my health. I had never met anybody stronger than me at that point. I've been through some psychological traumas that led to me developing my body this way. It was a lot of anger, stress, and trauma involved in it. But basically what you're seeing right now is not what we want to view as aesthetically pleasing. We need to wrap our minds around that. Now, right now, I've developed a body that's capable of being able to display outward physical health without all the traumas and the detriment of what I was doing to my body back then. I didn't drink back then. I didn't drink till the first time I drank, I was like on a ski trip. I drank a Smirnoff when I was like 18 or something like that. It was, but this is basically alcohol running through the body because I consumed breads. I had yeast running through my system. My body was basically under a system where it was relying on histamine as a reaction to keep my cells functioning because I was dehydrated on a cellular level. So histamine basically prevents your internal cell organs like the ribosomes and mitochondria from jamming up when you're dehydrated. And that's due to yeast. And like Enqi brought up with the nitrogen asphyxiant yeast inside the body, how they can run off of serotonin and convert those into ammonia in the body. That's the medium. The yeast is the medium that dehydrates the body. And so, you got a question?
No. Higher, brother.
Yeah, just keep reminding me. You know why? Because I get in the flow, and for me, it's like I just get into the zone. And so this information is not something I do. I'm a researcher. I'm only coming out here banging like this because I've been trying to really get funded for the type of research that I've been doing, and it's difficult as hell to work with people who don't know about the mental illness due to the parasite overgrowth. So that's what I'm gonna cover later on. But just keep reminding me, and I'll keep at it.
When I put my hand up, that means higher.
Word up. All right, so yeah, that's me when I was on the high school wrestling team at 16 years old. I was hella strong. I wrestled heavyweight, and right there, I was 175 pounds. That's like a big thing, wrestling 200-pound dudes, manhandling them and whatnot. I didn't care about the wrestling, I just was into violence. Anything to do to feed my body adrenaline and serotonin, I was addicted to. I'll talk about street racing. I was in the street racing environment, man. I was the man in high school. I had a 98 Eclipse Turbo GST back then. I was full of testosterone. I was doing my thing. Basically the same car that was in the first Fast and the Furious. I had that when I was in high school. I was looking like this. I won Best Physique when I was in my yearbook. Like we had a little competition, you know how they do. So basically I didn't have anything telling me that I was doing the wrong thing other than my own consciousness telling me that, nah, my body ain't supposed to feel like this. So deep down inside, I just knew shit was just not right with me. So it always stuck with me, and then later on, as I started to work through more and more health issues, I started to get a reality check of what was really influencing my body, and that's what I'm recovering. I just like to flow and get all the information out, but I'm gonna try to work with you guys. All right, cool. So I'm gonna breeze through these, and I hope you get the most out of it. So check it. Next slide. Nutrient retention rate is what it is that I've developed so that people can maximize on the mineral nutrients that we know builds our bodies. Now, I'm on a raw fruit diet. I've been on a raw fruit diet for 2 years. I only eat fruits. I could take off my shirt, I don't know. Anybody mind that? You want to see what it looked like or not? You good? You good? Don't take that. The thing is, we need to advertise this because people really don't know about it. So that's really what I'm trying to do. And I used to model in college, so this is kind of my thing. But I won't do that. It's not a disrespectful thing to know about health and really have a real life. But cool. So check it. So, phytic acid chelates minerals is the basis for my nutrient retention rate. We eat greens, they have a lot of mineral nutrients, but they're not bioavailable. Bioavailability has to do with your body's ability to have an ionic reaction with the minerals that do not chelate them in a way that leaves you depleted of minerals. When you hear about people suffering from anemia, that's because they may be eating the kale, they may be eating the green, whatever it is they eat on a raw diet. They may be eating all their fruits, but when they consume phytic acid, all the nutrients in the world do not get assimilated. You can eat all the nutrients in the world, but it doesn't get assimilated at its maximum potential when you have phytic acid, which is found in the skins of fruits and the seeds of fruits. So part of my diet has to do with the fruit a food preparation technique to eliminate phytic acid in the body. Now, at looking like I do, I weigh 150 pounds right now. I go between 145 and 150. Yet I was pretty much the same size when I was eating, a vegetarian diet, when I was eating cooked food. I've been on a vegetarian diet for over 6 years, so I've been transitioning into this raw food thing, what I'd highly recommend. I got only a little bit more time, so let me just get into the nutrient retention rate. It's food preparation techniques. Reducing your exposure to lecithins through other food preparation techniques like sprouting seeds, soaking your seeds, and also removing the skins like on almonds. So blanched foods are better. Chelation of minerals can leave you, like I said, anemic. So while I was still a vegetarian, I was suffering from anemia at various times. I was suffering from issues that ultimately led into me getting liver cancer while on a raw food diet. So I got a lot of experience when it comes to the raw food diet, and I don't know if I have enough time to cover it, but we definitely are going to cover this on readyforart.com because this information needs to get out. I'm going to talk a little louder for you. Let's see. I do sun gazing. That's one of my main sources of food. You got to get the UVB radiation when you can. You got to get enough sunlight. Complexion is not what defines black genetics. It's about your genetic material. I may not have time to go into that, but there are ways to darken your complexion and be able to assimilate minerals better and force the parasites that are within our bodies that cause weak or recessive genetic traits. That basically has to do with dehydration that reaches a chromosomal level that alters chromatin and positive and negative interactions that our bodies use through microtubules to extract electric charge and rebuild itself. It's the instructions that we use to form ourselves. So I'll cover that in alchemy. I'm trying to rush through everything. Let's see, nutrient retention rate benefits. I only eat one time a day. I don't even need to eat other than that I want to look good. I basically can go multiple days. Like I can go 2 days without eating and I'm completely fine. I'm mentally stable because my body holds on to nutrients for a very long time. I only eat pretty much once a day or twice a day if I want to really, size myself up. But I only eat coconut, avocado, tomato. I prep them a specific way. So it's not just that I'm on a strict diet. I have like gourmet, foods that I've been preparing and I'm ultimately going to be challenging anybody who has, food practice with to show that I can match taste with my nutrient retention rate. So it's not like you're going to be giving up a lot. There may be some things you have to give up, but that's based on how you develop in your raw food diet. Let's see. Reduce exposure to toxins. We all know about the dangers of plastics and how they have xenoestrogens, which can alter our hormonal levels. So it's BPA-free plastic bottles if you can't get glass where you need it, but you don't want to expose yourself to plastics. You don't want to use anything. I don't even eat cooked food, so I'm at the level right now where I'm really particular. I don't even touch municipal water supplies. They got a lot of things in there that you really want to avoid, so look into water filtrations and buying bottled water for the go. Next slide, please. All right, microenvironment is the environment that describes genetic expression based on how your genes are expressed from their environment on a cellular or I wouldn't say an atomic level, but on a cellular level. So we talk about intracellular and extracellular functions, and the microenvironment determines whether the cell is going to be healthy or functioning in a state of basically survival. Literally the type of cells that go into apoptosis constantly due to exposure to toxins. I can't talk this loud, man. This is technical information. People just need to hear it and do what they got to do with it. I can't yell this. I do research, you know what I'm saying? I talk to people on an intellectual level. I got to get used to this talking loud. I'm going to try to do what I can. All right, come on. Let's go. All right, understand the cells and DNA, charge separation. Close out. Yeah, I'm gonna just close out. So I just introduced the it's gotta be done this way because it really takes time. Most people don't have the mind capacity to listen for this long. It's because they're mineral deficient. So I'm gonna elaborate later on. You're gonna see me and elaborate on the nutrient retention rate. I have other people who are involved in the same diet who are healing from issues. And it is possible to eat just raw fruits, but you gotta know the way to do it. There's a white guy named the Fruitarian who actually does a raw fruits diet, but he consumes a lot of phytic acid, and he has to actually supplement with B vitamin injections. So if you're watching that, you don't have to do that. So if you look up Fruitarian diet and you happen to come across this guy, as black individuals, we don't have to do that. We need to be supplementing with sunlight, and that's what I want to close on. Peace and black power. Let's just slide through all these slides so I can just say, my humble quote, being humble is not about hiding gifts of aesthetics or denouncing your talents. It's about not calling you fat, diseased, wretched, or walking past you with a content smirk, like a lot of people do when they have the physique, but they don't have the mental development. So it's not always what you're looking at, but it's what you experience and what you feel. It is. It's about taking the time to explain to you what the issues are, how to best go about healing and finding remedy. That's what this environment is about. That's why I love these brothers. That's why I love you all. I mean, I love this so much. I'm so glad I found a conscious community. It's about taking the time to explain to you what the issues are, how to go about best healing or finding remedy. My look is my proof. That's what I was trying to explain to y'all. It's my proof that what I'm talking about works. I've been doing this for 2 years. A raw food diet, I've healed people from cancer, from eczema, asthma, fibroids, all the things that we talk about within the Aboriginal medical paradigm. That's what we do over here. There is no death and diseases and terminal illnesses when you understand the knowledge. And so you cannot fake health. You cannot fake health is really the message I want to put out there. So more on this. Peace and black power, everybody.
Listen, he's gonna get a lot more time as we go on the tour because he's gonna get an opportunity to come and do lectures. So his information is very detailed and very specific. And we need researchers like that who can go in. How's everybody feeling? Everybody all right? Yeah. Everybody want some fish now? Some fish sandwiches in the back. For sure? Y'all good? All right, so now y'all, hey, listen, we're about to amplify it to the next level. The next brother who's coming up, do I need to introduce him? I don't even think so. Minister Enqi, as he's going to tell his own story if you haven't heard it, founded the Amber Institute by healing members of his own family. All right? And he can tell you the story about his daughter and the announcements that the said doctors gave for her that she wasn't going to walk, she wasn't going to live a normal life, and she's walking around living a normal life. So we keep getting these testimonies of a medical industry saying you can't do that with billions and trillions of dollars, and we have people who have the most wealth who are saying we can do it and prove it. So I'm going to bring my brother up, Minister Enqi, so he can drop the next part of the presentation. Give him a few minutes to set up. Okay, give him a few minutes to set up. If y'all need to stand up, stretch, get some water. So now we want to go into the core subject. Our great minister from the Amber Institute, who is one of the leading health researchers, physicians, nutritionists right now in North America to help us understand black biology and to understand the things that we need to know to really keep ourselves healthy. So give it up for none other than the Minister of Health, Minister Enqi.
All right, so we're trying to get a lot of stuff in tonight, so I'm going to try to just hit some bulletin points that I think are important as a precursor to us going back on the road with the Black Genetics Tour. So as we're doing the tour, a lot of people asked us, when are you going to have something that elaborates on the differences between Europeans and black folks? So I started to try to compile that information, and the more I tried to compile that information, the more it looked like what Dr. Afrika had done in one of his books, where he talked about the differences in bone density and stuff like that. So I realized that we didn't really need that. I just had to tell y'all to go get Afrika's book and read some more. But what I did put together were the 12 major different areas that he or no one else had talked about that are generating and creating the illnesses, because I think that's the main thing we want to talk about. So these are the 12 areas of difference between us and Europeans where all the metabolic illnesses come from. All right, and metabolic simply means that the illnesses are derived from your lifestyle, period. It's not hereditary, it's not strictly diet, it's mostly diet, but not strictly diet, because our lifestyle encompasses a little bit more than just your diet, all right? So, 12 areas of genetic concern for deeply melanated humans, which is an international health crisis. Now, usually, I have the young ministress, my daughter, she's 13, And she goes up and she does her thing. And in her lecture, as a precursor of mine, she shows some of the people from various walks of life, a lot of celebrities, people from Africa like Winnie Mandela, that are also dealing with these issues, because we tend to think that in South America, they're not dealing with the high blood pressure and the diabetes. We tend to think that on the continent of Africa, because the herbs are so plentiful, etc., they're not dealing with what we're dealing with. Because they're eating couscous and you're eating yellow rice, that there's a different, no. They have the same problems over there. Metabolic illnesses, because we've all been colonized by the same folks. So we've all adopted various lifestyles based on our colonizers. Whether those are the French Europeans, whether those are the English Europeans, right? We look at Jamaica, Jamaica looks crazy, okay? So, and for those of you that are saying, wait a minute, are you sure you're vegan now? What is Minister Inky doing with a leather outfit on? That is also a statement that I'm making, all right? Because there's two groups of vegetarians. Just want to put that out there, right? There's a really big group of vegetarians that practice vegetarianism because they're looking to save animals, all right? I don't care about animals. Okay, I'm looking to save black folks. Okay, starting with me and my babies. So that's why I'm a vegetarian. I have no problem with putting on animals. That is cool. And animals, trust me, have no problem with putting on you. Okay? So if I put you in a cage with a lion, trust me, that lion gets hungry, he is not going to be thinking about how you feel about becoming dinner. All right? So I'm going to go through this as fast as possible because I have some other stuff I want to show you. So. All right, man. All right, so the first area of concern is this. This is the most basic structure in all creation, all creatures, and what I'm talking about is your pigment. All right, so we talk about melanin, but melanin is a form of pigment. The most advanced, evolved form of pigment, but a form of pigment. All right, so Europeans have what they call pheomelanin. We have what's called eumelanin. All right, at the core of your eumelanin is selenium. All right, what you see here on your left, which is a very powerful, one of the most powerful antioxidants in the mineral kingdom. At the core of European pheomelanin is sulfur, one of the most powerful acids on the planet. Now, why this is important, and this generates a lot of mineral deficiencies and illnesses, is because they have taken the selenium out of the soil. Okay, so when you hear farmers talk about some of the different problems that they're having with growing the foods and things like that, it's because the minerals are no longer there. All right, they know that since 1932. The Senate put out a paper, and we got that information for you if you need that. All right, the Senate put out a paper on this in 1932. That's almost 100 years ago. All right, and the soil hasn't got any mineralized since then. It's getting more and more depleted. All right, so they have no problem with this though. This is why I have to show you this. When they take the selenium out the soil, that's not going to affect them when they eat the food, because they're not looking for selenium. You are. All right, so that's only going to be a problem for you. So this is why we have to highlight the differences in physiology. It's not about being a racist. All right, this is our good brother came up on the intro and talked about George Mendel. I was the only one that raised my hand and said I learned about him in school. All right, George Mendel is the guy who came up with a lot of this, and he's a European. All right. So we see racist, whatever, this is not racist information. Europeans came up with it. I'm just elaborating further on it. All right, so this is why this is not going to affect them, it only affect you. Right. All right, ammonia and water. All right, there's something called an ammonia transport system. All right, my good brother discovered this as we were on the tour. My discovery is that an ammonia transport system is not even naturally European. The only two organisms on this planet that naturally have an ammonia transport system are rhesus monkeys and yeast. Now, we won't debate how the monkey thing started to circulate in folks, all right? Because we've already had those debates, all right? But due to the Europeans mixing, being bred from these rhesus monkeys, they have a very advanced ammonia transport system, all right? This is what allows them to be outside in 0 degrees, almost naked, jogging by you while you out there freezing with your North Face on, all right? They have no problem with that. The positive ions, which is ammonia, inside their system circulating, neutralizes the positive ions that we know of as cold weather on the outside, giving them no feeling to that cold air outside. This is why the Polar Bear Club is usually 49 white folks and one black Oreo cookie trying to blend in. All right? So as we're supposed to have very high levels of circulating water in our system. We are killing ourselves with all of the meat-based foods which put nitrogen into the body. If you look at the chemical breakdown, that's why I have that there. You see that water is 2 hydrogen atoms, 1 oxygen atom. Nitrogen is 3 hydrogen atoms with, 3 hydrogen atoms with 1 nitrogen. Now what you need to know about this is that nitrogen and oxygen can't occupy the same space. So as you put more nitrogen into your body, it forces oxygen out of your body, all right? So that's how nitrogen goes into the body and combines with your water molecule, pushing that oxygen out and becomes ammonia, all right? This is why we are loaded, all right? We are floating the entire dialysis machine business. If black folks give up Pepsi, we could just give up Pepsi. We might put them dialysis machine folks out of business, okay? So these are the differences that are killing us. We do not have an ammonia transport system, all right? Now some of these things I'm gonna skip. We'll get to them a little bit more and elaborate later on. This I wanna show you because this is very important in terms of sugar. A lot of us are scared of sugar and we're running from sugar. You need sugar, okay? Your DNA is composed of sugar. The helix is sugar, okay? You have to have sugar in your body. You have 8 essential sugars, just like you have 8 essential amino acids. You have to get them all. The blood types are determined by the sugar types. So this is another level of importance. So as we talk about the blood types, and people want to go deeper into understanding the blood types, the monomers that attach the antigens that classify the blood types, A, B, etc., are made up of the various sugars. So now you can see how even depending on your blood type, you're going to have a specific affinity to certain amounts of sugar. And if you don't have those, you're going to have various metabolic situations. This is why we lead in type 2 diabetes, because we have no idea of what type of sugar we should have, and we think glucose is the way, and glucose is not the way for black folks. And if I can get to it, I'm going to show you how it was left in the hieroglyphs that that's not what we should be doing. All right? So I talked about this already. Nitrogen and oxygen cannot occupy the same space. All right? Nitrogen and oxygen cannot occupy the same space. Where can we see that outside of the Minister Enqi lecture? Simple. In the atmosphere. Okay? Mother Nature is also looking to destroy nitrogen. Every time you see lightning flash, that's lightning's job. Okay? Lightning destroys nitrogen. Lightning breaks up nitrogen molecules and it combines those molecules with oxygen, and that forms nitrate. So some of us get confused when we think about farming practices because we know we need nitrates to help the plants grow. We think that's nitrogen. No. Oxygen surrounds that nitrogen and makes sure that nothing happens. So what happens when you have nitrate, it looks like this. You have 3 oxygens. This is the nitrogen. You have 3 oxygens. You see how Ali walking around with security? You got 3 oxygens around that joint like this. You're going to behave yourself. We're going to walk you in there. We're going to walk you out. You're not going to do anything you're not supposed to do. Right? So when it's surrounded by those oxygens, it's cool. The moment that that nitrogen is by itself, then it can start to do some other things. So the moment that nitrogen overwhelms the oxygen, because you are eating a completely nitrogen-based diet, because you're on the beans, right? You're on the meat, you're on the chicken, you're on the fish, right? Then you're guzzling that down with some caffeinated drink. Caffeine is purine, all right? For those of you that don't know, purine is the chemical classification for anything that hides nitrogen in it. So they actually have a scientific term for molecules and substances that hide nitrogen in it. I thought that was crazy. Like, wow, you have a classification for this. That means that they already know what this thing does, how it operates, and what they do. And we might get to that too, because I'll walk you through how they went to Egypt in 1798. Then, 1901, they figure out the blood types and all that stuff, and then the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds get together, close down all the natural institutions, and start their own thing. But, so anyway, nitrogen oxide. All right? So now, there's a new thing floating around called hemochromatosis, and we might touch on that a little bit. And what that is basically, because you are loaded up on so much nitrogen, the nitrogen is pulling the iron out of your blood cells and pushing it into the tissues. All right? As it pushes it into the tissues, because once you have high levels of iron in the tissues and the nitrogen starts to overwhelm the blood, we'll get to it. I don't want to lose anybody. That's how a little drowsy out there. All right? But this is genetic. All right? This is what you need to know. That some of us, this is how scientists, quote unquote, the Europeans put it, some of us humans absorb iron too well. Okay, so I find this to be a very big problem when I know that they're talking obviously about us. You can see the diagram. It's not a European. They tried to make it gray, but you know it's not a European, right? But what they're showing you is that information can cure a lot of the metabolic illnesses. Because there's no way that anemia can run rampant in people that absorb iron too well. Like, how does that even work? How do people that absorb iron too well not have iron? Lack of vegetation. Okay? Hemochromatosis, so they're talking about how it passes down, etc. All right? I'm going to skip through some of the more sciencey stuff so we can get to this. All right, I only put this in here because I wanted to show how the main thing that they teach in school, it misses the natural element. They always pull Mother Nature out. Because if they put Mother Nature into this, it would show a big lightning rod, and it would show how the nitrates are created versus the ammonium and how the behavior, and then they would show how those things are recycled and pulled out of the body. All right? And that's what we have to do. So I stuck this little guy in here so you can see. Natural order things. We take the minerals, the nitrates from the plants, nutrients, etc., and the nitrogen and the gas and the carbon dioxide should be coming out of the body. But we have this on reverse. All right, we're putting nitrogen-based stuff and carbon dioxide. We're eating basically shit. Okay? Anything that's supposed to be coming out, feces, refuse, etc., we have now been putting that in reverse. So all of our food substances are now nitrogen-based, carbon dioxide-based. And this is where the whole game comes in, because we're getting so hooked on the word carbon that we don't understand there's different types of carbons. You have, carbon monoxide, dioxide, etc., etc., etc. But because we're black folks, we have a romantic attachment to carbon now, and we're just getting overwhelmed with different types of carbon. So now people are going to get organic seedless fruits, and it's just confusing the hell out of everybody. Okay? The scientific definition of something that's organic just means that it has carbon in it. Period. So we get the euphemistic definition of it, which means that it's natural and it's grown this kind of way and that kind of way. No. You got to deal with the scientific definition. It just means there's carbon somewhere in there. So as long as there's carbon anywhere in something, they can call it organic. Okay? So we have to understand that. Do not fall for that, organic thing. You want to get as close to natural as possible. So, meat versus flesh. Which one of these is meat? The left or the right?
Right.
No. The one. Yeah, you're right. Flesh is on the left. You do not have enzymes to process the flesh. You do not have enzymes to process the flesh, and you don't want to. This is my problem. We are striving to be less than ourselves. We're striving to be number 2 instead of striving to be number 1. You already are blessed with the genetics to be number 1, but you're following after number 2. The European does not have the enzymes to get all the minerals and nutrients right out of the ground the way you do. The same way you don't have the enzymes to break down the flesh to get the second-hand minerals after someone's already pre-digested them. Why do you want to do that? That's what you're actually looking to do. When you eat meat, there's nothing left in the meat that's usable by your body. There's nothing usable there. Even when they quote the different minerals and things that you can get out of various forms of meat, you would have to eat that animal raw. Okay, so this is the game with looking up stuff online and thinking that you're sharp. Okay, it's misquoted and the context is not there. So take, for example, olive oil, right? When you look up olive oil, it lists all kinds of benefits. 1,000 benefits for olive oil. But what they don't tell you is that the moment you cook with it and it goes past the smoke point, it's now rancid and none of those benefits are there.
Woo!
So you going to buy olive oil so you can cook your stuff in olive oil, you think boom, 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 you did something. All you did was spend 5 times as much money on the oil, you might as well have got canola. You might as well have got canola. Okay, and you'd have had about $7, $8 more in your pocket. And you could still have the toxic sludge you like to have a good time with. Okay? Toxic sludge is toxic sludge. All right? I'm not saying not to have no toxic sludge, but I'm just saying, save your money. All right? Now, amino acids, all amino acids are not the same. All right? And here's the big deal with protein. You do need protein. Okay? So that is incorrect. You do not need protein. You need protein. Anything in your body that does something is a protein. You need protein, okay? But you don't need to eat protein to have protein. That's where the problem comes in. You're eliminating your DNA's job. Your DNA's job is to synthesize RNA that synthesizes your protein. So what you're supposed to do is take in the natural amino acids so that your body can build up the proteins that you need. All right? You're going back. You're trying to take in protein, then your body has to try to break those back down into amino acids and then rebuild those back if you're doing too much. All right? And those are all denatured, and the denatured protein is dead. You can't even do anything with a denatured protein. And how do you denature a protein? You add heat to it. You add heat to it. So, when they tell you that you got to eat meat to get protein, the only way you can get any protein out of meat is to do what? Eat it raw. Now, how many of y'all going to jump on a cow back tonight? How many of y'all gonna catch a chicken and eat it with the whole feathers and everything? All right, grand opening. Now, there's another thing before I move from here. All amino acids are not the same. There are a lot of amino acids that have high amounts of nitrogen in them. There are very few amino acids like leucine that are in there to make sure those behave themselves. Okay, so they are very high in, like you see leucine, carbon, and hydrogen. And they have extra hydrogens to loan out to make sure they neutralize different things, so they keep the amino acids in check. Why do I have this up here also? Why am I speaking on this? Because it's the springtime, it's the summertime, and brothers is trying to hit the pull-up bar. We're trying to get a little ab game up and all that kind of thing. And what we doing? We're going to GNC and we're getting arginine, which is almost just basically ammonia waiting to happen throughout your body. We're getting glutamate, which is pure, basically powdered ammonia to go through your body. So we're killing ourselves. Now, the European companies that create those products work great for Europeans. Problem is, you're not European. Okay? Same thing with the soy thing. Don't tell me about the benefits of soy because you read the Japanese folks said when they was using the soy, but you're not Japanese. You gotta stop that. Ain't just good for Japanese folks, it's not good for black folks. You have a different physiology. That's why we're going through these differences. Okay, so you gotta stop that. Let the Japanese folks do what they do. Those Europeans with different kind of eyes. You gotta stop that. Seriously, Chinese folks and Japanese folks don't get along for that reason. The Chinese folks know who you are. And they go back to you. They go back to you. The first 2 or 3 dynasties in China was black. They never lost that. Who remembers when China dropped America's credit rating? Anybody hear about that? Okay, that is a very few number, small number in here. I'm going to need y'all to get a little bit more literate in terms of social events. Okay, that's the homework for everybody. You need to be aware of what's going on. All right? How many people are aware that, like, Drake is signed to Cash Money? Almost everybody. See, that's the problem. All right? We know what's going on with Drake and Lil Wayne, but we have no idea about global events. Problem.
Drake and Cash Money.
Okay. 2 people don't know about Drake and Cash Money, and 1 is faking. But when they dropped America's credit rating, they made an international statement because that was something huge right there. And the world was kind of scared, like, uh-oh, America's about to go bomb China. That's what we do. We borrow money, then when we can't pay it back, we just come in with the guns. But China had 2 reasons that are very important for you to know why they dropped America's credit rating. The first one is the obvious. They said because America doesn't pay back the money. So that's obvious. The second reason is because they said they don't like how America treats their black people. That was an international statement. Swept the globe, like, oh, take care of black folks a little better, we might send y'all some more money. So then I started looking at Chinese folks a little different because I know they're the custodians of all our Martian sciences, right? Building up the body and taking care. And then when you look at them, I started to say to myself, and I was having a conversation with my daughter and my partner Jason, I was like, damn, you know, if we take the Orientals out of the hood, that would evaporate damn near overnight 80% of the fruits and vegetables. 80% of the fruits and vegetables in the neighborhoods are sold by Orientals to black folks. So they over here quiet as kept trying to hold you together while you on the crack and the malt liquor and the... They're like, come on, we got the smoothies, $5. Stop at the truck. Come on. We're gonna put a little sugar in it for you. So we know you're addicted to sugar, so we know we gotta put a little sugar in there for you to want some. Right? So every time you don't stop them from putting sugar in there, they're gonna put sugar in there, but they on every corner trying to push you into fruits and vegetables. You know, they got the little MSG spots also, but they still got the fruits and vegetables there. So that's something for you to keep in mind. Floating glucose. Floating levels of glucose in your body destroys the floating levels of active vitamin D in your body. You cannot have high levels of glucose in your body and have high levels of active vitamin D in your body. All right, this is a problem. This is why diabetes destroys you so fast. Because as a black person, you have to have vitamin D for everything. It controls your gene expression. It controls your gene expression. And they did a test globally. And this goes beyond black people. All right? Globally, as we move away from the equator, all people, even white folks, the incidence of cancer increases except skin cancer, of course. Every cancer besides skin cancer, as you move away from the equator, it goes up. All right? And the darker you are, the higher your need for vitamin D, for sunlight. All right? So that is where some of our holistic healers have dropped the ball in the past by telling us just because you have melanin, you can step out in the sun for 5 minutes and synthesize, blah, blah, blah. Stop that. You need to be out there for damn near 2 hours a day, midday if you look like me, to get just any vitamin D production. All right? And when you're up in these areas, past, anywhere past Florida, there's no UVB radiation that reaches the landmass at all, save April to September. So from October to March, there's no UVB radiation. UVB radiation is what creates vitamin D inside your body, all right? When the UVB hits a specific substance that we have been told is a problem in our body, which is another reason why we have to deal with these differences, it creates vitamin D. Anybody know what that substance is? Cholesterol. Cholesterol. This is why you have so much cholesterol naturally, because it's sitting there waiting for you to activate and turn it into vitamin D. But then the sun never hits it, so you just have more and more cholesterol there. And then cholesterol floats around the body inside the various fat cells. So whether you have HDLs or LDLs, it still has cholesterol in it, right? So as you're eating table salt and you're cutting up your intestines, the body's trying to send those fats there to repair them. So now you start to get plaque building up. Anyway, glucose levels, vitamin D levels, antagonists, all right? So we have to deal with those glucose levels. Not going to spend too much time on this, but this is important for you to save money. Okay, I like everything to be practical. We're not talking about money and some of this stuff, then we're not really talking about anything. Do not waste your money buying single minerals. Okay, single minerals do not work in your body. Okay, when you get a silver thing or a bottle of iron by itself or whatever it is, any mineral that they sell by itself, it is not going to function. Every mineral needs catalysts to function. It needs it's not going to work by itself. You are wasting your money. That is one of the biggest money wasters. Okay? Even gold, this doesn't belong to the mineral kingdom. It needs a host of catalysts for gold to work. Platinum, iridium, rhodium, ruthenium, all of them. They all need catalysts to work. Okay, so I've heard about David Hudson and all, that's fine. But in your body, just study nature. You don't have to listen to Minister Enqi. Nature does not give you minerals by itself. So when you look at plants, every natural plant is going to be a certain mineral that plant really concentrates high amounts of. But it's going to have all the supporting minerals still there anyway. That's what catalyzes that mineral. So when you get minerals in nature, and this is just a chart showing the relationships, all right? I always use copper and iron as an example because we're dealing with that issue, with anemia. And we've been loading up on iron supplements, and it hasn't done anything for anemia yet. All right? In fact, it looks like the more we buy iron supplements, the heavier the anemia gets. And the reason being is because usually it's iron sulfate. Iron sulfate, your body can't process. But the iron binds to the iron in your hemoglobin and pulls both of them out. So you wind up usually with less iron than you started off with when you take those single iron supplements. All right? You need copper to work with the iron. Now here's the ionization chart. And this is a little bit advanced, so I'm just going to go past this. But your body is an ionization machine. Okay, the process of ionization means that we're going from solid to liquid to gas to plasma. Okay, it is plasma in your body that makes everything work. So a lot of the illnesses that we're dealing with is because the plasma levels in certain areas are dropping and there's no organ in your body that produces plasma. So if you don't take care of it and it leaves, then you can't get it back. Okay, it's over. All right, so in your ear, that plasma fluid is what makes sound. Once it's gone, you have hearing loss. Inside your eye, it's filled with that same plasma fluid. Once it's gone, you can't see. Okay, it's very simple. Most of the cardiac arrest, the pain in our chest is because the pericardium, the bag that holds the plasma for the heart, is getting dehydrated. All right, so every time that heart pumps, it hurts. All right, so plasma is everywhere. That's where your intelligence is at for the body. Chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, all right? The slide wasn't big enough for me to add chlorophyll C to it, but it should be up there, all right? There's a big difference in white folks and black folks. Because I'm getting to the point now where I have Europeans that call me and ask me for consultations to help too, and I help them out too. Because they confused as hell. The problem is in order to keep this whole system going, the people at the very top have to lie to everyone. They have to lie to the black folks. And I'm so glad, Brother Arnold. See, I missed that break it down. That's legendary in my house. In fact, when I came up here, my kids said, "Are you going to see Mr. Break It Down?" I said, "I'm going to try to." But this is important because this is the difference between spirulina and chlorella. People ask us all the time, "Why y'all be saying don't eat spirulina?" Because you don't need to. Okay? Spirulina is a cyanobacteria. You can look it up. Okay? It is a cyanobacteria. Europeans push spirulina because they need some of the same nutrients that you need, but they're allergic to direct sunlight. You know what direct sunlight does to them folks, all right? That's what chlorophyll is, liquid sunlight. So class A chlorophyll, they cannot really digest, the same way you cannot digest cheeseburgers, okay? So spirulina, the bacteria, gives them class B and C chlorophyll, which mimics the natural class A chlorophyll, which is what you need, all right? So for black folks, I would say you get you some chlorella, you're in business. Europeans, you stick to your bacteria, and you're in business, all right? Save your money, black folks. Stop buying spirulina, all right? I know it's a few more dollars for the chlorella, but it's a reason for that, all right? Now, here's the difference between your blood cell and chlorophyll. One simple thing. Magnesium and iron. Okay, and I put that up there big so you can see it. On the left, you have your blood cell, iron at the center. On the right, you have a chlorophyll cell, magnesium at its center. So, when you hear people talking about they reverse this illness or that illness by having people go on an all green fast and you gotta add the kale in and the green this and the green that and load up on the chlorophyll and blah, 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 blah. What they're really trying to do is get higher levels of concentrated magnesium into the body, okay? Higher levels of magnesium into the body. That is the only mineral that's going to protect your nervous system. That is the only mineral that can clean out and drain the astrocytes throughout the body. Astrocytes are the guys that are in there to protect your neurons. The astrocytes and magnesium are the only protection that your children have from red number 40, blue number 5, Frosty Flakes, Captain Crunch. Okay, if you're not getting high levels of magnesium into your baby, they're going to be a fruitcake. Okay, period. Doesn't matter how much lectures you come to. All right, let me just say that. The smarter you get doesn't make the child smarter. Okay, it doesn't happen by osmosis. Okay, so if you're eating good and your child's still eating frankfurters, your child is going down. Okay? They will be in prison / diabetes / whatever. Right on, Minister Enqi. That is an awesome question. I have magnet right over there with high levels of magnet, and I worked on this for about 2 years. It took me about 2 years to really get the formula down pat. And that's why I was showing people, like my daughter, she just got like a parade down in Georgia because she read like 3 million words in one school year. They were like, when I went down there, I went down there looking just like this at the award ceremony. You know what I mean? I came in there on my New York thing like, like, so what are you doing with your child? Sir, what's your name? Minister Enqi. I'm sorry? What is that? Is that Jamaican? I was like, don't worry about that. Nothing. We're not doing anything different than you're doing. I don't know how she read all those words. Right? Go ask Dr. Oz what he's doing. Shit. We don't both to share our secrets with them. Somebody in here might share the secrets anyway. They can go on YouTube, but we don't need to help them folks. We got to help each other. I didn't tell them anything, but this is what I've been using, testing it out on my children to see how it works. And I have twins, 2-year-olds. So usually they tell you to separate the twins or they're going to have slow development, right? So I didn't want to do that. I started just dropping them up. And their minds start moving a lot faster. All right, their minds start moving a lot faster. So if you have twins, don't let white folks tell you to split them up. Period. You're breaking up something that you don't even understand. All right, because science is predicated on most of us, and most of us are born individually. We don't even know what that feels like to be born with a human. A lot of us are looking for a soulmate, thirsty to find a soulmate. Twins are born with their soulmate. You don't even know what that feels like to be born with another human. Why would we purposely break them up? That's crazy right there. Do not let Europeans tell you to do that. All right? So I went through some of the recommendations for it. What I wanted to show real quick, though, is some of the problems that we can have if we're not getting the right levels of magnesium. Irregular heartbeat. All right? A lot of us are having this issue. And this is the issue where we see like the star black ball player from the hood. He looked like he's getting ready to make it out. Then he had the game and suddenly he falls on the ground and never gets up. Irregular heartbeat. Magnesium deficiency. Very simple. Cardiovascular disease. Anxiety. Anxiety is rampant in our community. Anxiety is what makes us go to our job and go crazy and quit. Right? Insomnia, nervousness, fatigue, muscle and joint pains. If we put fatigue, muscle and joint pains together, what is the new thing that's sweeping through the black community the last 5-10 years? And doctors are saying they have no idea how you got it. Ladies, hit you more than men. Fibromyalgia, right? Fatigue and muscle and joint pain. That's nothing but magnesium deficiency. All right? So, there's a couple of things, but we have to get that magnesium here. Magnesium controls the electric distribution throughout the body. That is important as we begin to understand the body is electric. All right? Now, milk protein versus milk sugar. This is an important thing because white folks are scaring us away from sugar. All right? By confusing us as why we are lactose intolerant. All right? It's not the sugars in the milk that we're intolerant of. It is actual milk protein and the hormones that your body cannot handle. Your body does not want the protein already built and designed from the DNA of a cow or the hormones to give instructions to that DNA in those cells from a cow in your body. The problem with that is milk, your body's designed in a way where milk kind of doesn't have any checks and balances. Milk goes right into your bloodstream. All right, because when babies are born, the digestive system is soft. So the safety catch is that milk can go right into your bloodstream so your body can utilize it. Because obviously Mother Nature and God figured that we'd be intelligent enough to not drink milk from other animals. Obviously that's not the case though, right? So milk goes right into the bloodstream unchecked, whole. And your body rejects those proteins and those hormones, but we need those sugars, all right? Those sugars are the same sugars present in dates. Okay, so if you can eat a date, that proves that you are not allergic to the sugars in milk. Okay? Period. If you can eat a mango, you are not allergic to the sugars in milk. It is the proteins that your body is rejecting because you're not a cow. Some of us need to look in the mirror to see that we're not cows. You might have to look at yourself and maybe go to a farm to see you're not a cow. But somebody's going to leave here and still drink cow's milk tonight. I know it. Somebody's watching the live stream at home and they're going to get some cow's milk tonight. I know it. Minister, I'm scared. The people at school said they might take my children if I don't give them cow's milk. You got to figure out what you're going to do. All right? You got to figure out what you're going to do. What is more important? These are white folks who are living a long, healthy life. You make your own personal choice. All right? Because either one of them you're going to have to stand on. Period. You're going to have to defend it. So if impressing white folks is very important to you, that's fine. But you're going to have to struggle with blood pressure issues, diabetes, and metabolic disease. You'll have to stand on that. If being healthy is important to you, white folks stand on that. All right? But that's something we got to deal with. Because if you don't love your life enough to fight for it, then you don't deserve to have it. Period. Hitler already said, you are useless breathers. I love that. Useless breathers. People that are wasting oxygen. It's like, man, you know, we can find information that's valuable everywhere, right? So I suggest everybody go get Hitler's book and read it, all right? Because the system of eugenics was developed in Egypt. Europeans didn't come create that. We created positive eugenics. There's two sides to eugenics, all right? So we know of the negative eugenics, and we give you the word eugenics a negative connotation based on negative eugenics, but positive eugenics is what we're all trying to practice. So anybody that's on the fruit fast or anybody that's a vegetarian is practicing eugenics. Eugenics simply means trying to improve your genetics one generation to the next. And if you're not trying to do that, I think you should jump in front of a bus tonight. Please. Makes it easier on us, right? Aerobic energy versus anaerobic energy. All right? We're not going to spend too much time on the Krebs cycle, but the main thing you need to know is aerobic energy is energy production utilizing oxygen. Anaerobic energy is energy production without oxygen, usually as nitrogen as the catalyst. All right? So we have to understand that. Those are two opposites. Two opposites. And when we look at how an organism produces energy, if it's different, then that is a different species. Period. Okay? We're going to knock off this routine about white folks and black folks coming from the same origin. We're going to stop that foolishness. Of white folks. That's that syndrome where the rape victim loves the rapist and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, stop that. Muscle composition. All right? Muscle composition. Fast twitch muscle, which we see all the way over here on the left. Medium twitch and slow twitch. All right? That indicates to you that they're different type. It's not really different type. You're looking at underdeveloped versus highly developed. Okay? But if you start to look at it in those simple terms, underdeveloped muscle fibers, highly developed muscle fibers, and then someone tells you, hey, black folks have almost all fast twitch muscle. Europeans have almost all slow twitch muscle. You say, whoa, okay, so then that makes us different, right? Because muscle is how your biceps and your track. No, muscle is a heart. Your heart is a muscle. Your brain is a muscle. Almost all of your organs are muscles except for the lungs. And the lungs are even dependent on a muscle group that's designed to keep the muscles going called the diaphragm. The lungs going called the diaphragm. All right? So muscle building, body building is something that we all have to be in. All right? We've let Europeans take over bodybuilding. That's the practice of gods. That's what we was doing in Egypt. Gods build bodies. So when you say that you're not interested in bodybuilding, then I don't want to talk to you. Because that is what you're doing every time you put a fork in your mouth. You are building your body. So I'll be asking people, are you German engineered? You may not know that you're German engineered. Like a BMW. Okay? So we have to deal with this. If the muscle fibers that make up all of your organs are different, then that means that you're different. Okay? And we have to get that because some of us are still holding on to that we're the same as white folks think. And it's important because the template that they use to determine health in the hospitals is based on European bodies. You cannot go in there and think you're going to get the correct information. Like on the fruit fast that we're on right now. There's some people that get scared and then run back to meat and macaroni and cheese. And I don't stop them. Minister, you know, when I went in, they said that my white blood cell count was dangerously low. And, you know, I know you guys are having good results on the fruit fast, but I'm going to have to go back to my regular diet because, you know, my white blood cell count is low. Well, that's why we supplied you with the information to know how white blood cells is created. Okay? How white blood cells are created. They're created from the junk foods. So if you remove the junk foods, they have nothing to feed on, they have nothing to replicate with, they're going to disappear. They're going to disappear. And you're going to notice something else disappear. The inflammation in your body is going to disappear. So if you're scared and you want your good old inflammation back, okay, you want your white blood cells back, all you have to do is get you a nice plate of fried chicken, and that'll get you out the woods. All right? So you don't even have to take the doctor's prescription for medication. If you're scared that your white blood cell count is low, fried chicken will fix that right on up. Overnight. Okay, you can get any version of fried chicken to fix that up. Period. All right? But your white blood cell count will drop when you leave away the processed foods. Not only will that happen, but people are getting scared turning back to their old diet because within the first 3 days of changing your diet, a lot of people have situations where they start feeling nauseous and blah, blah, blah. Their blood pressure starts to go crazy. The reason being is because your body is mathematic. It moves in rhythm. All right? So your kidney is used to getting rid of a certain amount of salt every day. Okay? So let's say that your kidney gets rid of an average of 10 milligrams of salt every day. All right? You change your diet on Monday. You're no longer intaking the same amount of processed salts. Your kidney is still getting rid of that same amount of salt. So what's going to happen now is it's going to pull out way too much salt because it's thinking that you're still on the fried chicken routine. So your blood volume is going to shrink, and that's going to give you the nauseousness, the crazy thing, and then you're going to be feeling out of control, like, oh my God, I followed these YouTube guys, and where did they lead me? And you go to the hospital, and you're like, wow, we noticed that your blood cell count, your white blood cell count is low, and it's just, they scare you to death. Before you know it, fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, prescription from the doctor. Now you're feeling good, healthy, and sick again.
Healthy, good, and
good,
sick.
healthy, and sick again. Right? That's the world we live in. Healthy, sick. Right? Organic, seedless fruit. No? Healthy, sick. Right? Same thing. So we have to get those differences down pat. All right? All right, so I went a little deeper into the muscles and how they're used, etc., etc. Now, here's the one thing I will say. We have to work out completely different than Europeans based on the different muscle composition. All right? Slow twitch muscle, they like the cardio, the aerobics, the Richard Simmons routine, right? Richard Simmons promoted that, right? He got y'all on that. So before you seen Billy Blanks with Tybo, it was Richard Simmons. Yeah. And what was Richard Simmons, right? All right now. So you can follow that aerobics routine if you want to. Fast twitch muscle needs strength training. Okay, so even the ladies, we need you doing push-ups and pull-ups. Okay, we need you doing push-ups and pull-ups. Don't be scared. You are not going to look like a man. Okay, we had this big debate in Philly about this whole situation with Serena Williams, and I'm like, look, Serena Williams looks delicious to me. Okay? Problem is that we are underdeveloped men. Okay, we need to get stronger. All right, if you look at Serena Williams, the reason she looks the way she looks is not because she's unnatural, it's because she's too natural. All right, her dad was like the Joe Jackson of athletics. All right, they didn't have a childhood, they only had healthy food and exercise. And after the exercise was finished, back to healthy food, and after the food was finished, back to the exercise, period. When you watch TV, you're gonna watch people eating healthy food and exercising. When you go to sleep and dream, you better be dreaming about food and exercise, so when you wake up, you're ready for food and exercise. Right? Make those people superheroes in your house for your children. Because Serena and Venus never failed to deliver. They never failed to whoop the white folks' asses on the largest stages they could be. Right? So if you're talking about a lot of things we talk about, we got to support the superheroes that are already in place. Right? No one can beat the Williams sisters except the Williams sisters. That's why I promote them in my house to my children and Floyd Mayweather. Right? Floyd Mayweather may be a little confused about some public political things and things like that, but Floyd Mayweather never fails to whip white folks' asses. In the ring and out the ring. Yeah. Floyd Mayweather should be looked at as a black leader. All right? Now, he doesn't have some of the other things, like I said, the political things, and he's supporting Justin Bieber, and Justin Bieber's talking about killing niggas and joining the KKK, and wait, y'all do know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good, because I got the video, but all right. So, Floyd Mayweather is the first athlete ever to be in front of the money. In front. Not know how to use his money and invest it wisely. We had a few athletes sneak through the cracks like that. But Floyd is the first one to be in front of the money. He pays himself. He even pays the niggas ass he whips. He's paying the referee. He's paying the judges. He's paying for the venue. Floyd is the first one ever of that sort. So we have to begin to teach our children that this is the way to go. All right? So, I know I'm getting off the this is important. All right? This is how white folks' brain moves in relation to yours. Okay? This is what a slow twitch brain does in regards to yours. This is why if you have white friends, there's no problem with having white friends. I have some, right? But you might be standing around in the circle, you might see something funny, and you just bust out laughing. They standing there like, you got damn near break down the whole thing and explain like, no, what you didn't see was, you see it do that. Their brain moves slower than yours. There's no reason they should outperform you in school.
That's right.
There's no reason that all of the valedictorians have to be Indian or Chinese or something. It should be you. Genetically, your brain moves faster. The neurons fire faster. The synapses work faster. Your neural networks are thicker and stronger. We should be killing them in school. Kill them in school. Don't leave the school. Make them leave the school. Dominate their ass in the school. Make them shut the school down. Make them change the curriculum. Beat them everywhere. We don't need to run from competition with white folks. We need to crush them. We become German engineers. Right? Now this whole lecture is about 200 slides, but we're just gonna go through some of them. Alright, just a few. Alright? Because right now, we are on a mass suicide. Alright? I try to tell people every city I go in, your EBT card, your food stamp card, it works in Whole Foods. Okay, you are not confined to the neighborhood supermarket. You have to stop that foolishness. Trust me, I'm using them in every supermarket.
Yes.
Spend the money. Get the right stuff. It's a little bit more expensive, but take a train ride if you have to. I used to travel all the way from the Bronx to 59th Street to Whole Foods. If you don't want to fight for your life, you don't deserve to have it. You beat out 499 million other sperm cells to fertilize that egg. To come here and do what? Eat White Castles? Come on. Now, a lot of us don't know that Hitler was nominated for the Peace Prize in 1939. What year was World War II? Come on. That's right. That's right. So how did this become the world enemy 2-3 years after he wins the Nobel Peace Prize? And what does he win the Nobel Peace Prize for? The gentleman right next to him, Adolf Buchmann, who discovered testosterone. All right? Testosterone. To isolate testosterone and inject it in the body by synthetic means. All right? Why? To keep up with you. Because at this time they were doing experiments perfecting their Holocaust in North Africa. That's where the Holocaust started. That's where the cutting open the body, the organ stealing, it all started right there. That's where they concentrated. Right there. That's when they broke you down. Broke you down. All right? 1940 is when they started microbiology. Once they figured out there was something different synthesizing in your body that built you up, that made you run different than them. All right? This is what my man got the Nobel Peace Prize for. All right? This is important to know because testosterone usage as a steroid was completely legal until black folks got their hands on it. All right? And just one example. In 1976, Germany won 40 gold medals in the Olympics. 40. 40. They were dominating on the global scale all the physical competition because they were shooting things up to make them more like you. And this guy ruined everything.
Beautiful.
Who's this guy? Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is the first guy that got his hands on some of that good old testosterone and said, well, let's see what happens if black folks inject some of that stuff. Ben Johnson was so far ahead of the guy in second place. Immediately after Ben Johnson, they made him give back his gold medal, and they made testosterone usage illegal ever since. Because you got your hands on it. See? The whole game is just about beating you. So while they telling you, don't be in competition, we're all from the same place, human race, one family, and all kinds of bullshit. They're in high competition. They're not playing with you. They teaching their children how to operate inside the house versus how to operate outside the house. So they know how to be nice and be cordial with you outside in public and all that, help you out, you need $5. You're not a threat. We put this stuff online. They know what we're doing in classes. We live streaming right now for free. They watch it. Look at the views. Think about it. The conscious community is not that big. I have videos up online that have 200,000 views. If you think that just us is watching those, you're confused.
That's right.
PayPal, I get addresses and names and everything. And if you notice, on my website, anybody that's ever purchased anything on my website, you gotta put your name and all that shit in. I'm watching you too. You watching me, I'm watching you. People send me a text message all the time. Minister, I'm on your website, I'm trying to buy something, but it keeps saying I have to create a password and a whole this. Yeah, you gotta do that. Yep. Put in your everything, your name, all that. I need everything. Okay, I need to know who you are. All right, so I know who's buying. And I see the names when they buy the books, like, oh, why are white folks buying more of my books than Black and Nobel? Brother Hakeem, y'all know Hakeem, Black and Nobel, founder of Black and Nobel? He used to tell me all the time, like, Minister, you know you got the medical students coming from Temple University to buy your books. They coming in scrubs. Right from school, like, yo, yeah, administration, yeah. They used to even come to the classes and sit in the class for 10 minutes, get frustrated, and leave. Then Hannah tell me on Monday, because I used to do Sundays classes. On Monday or Tuesday, they come back and grab the books on the low. Yeah, let me just get those books. No, how many books he's got? I want all of them. Yeah. Yeah. Period. That's all they're interested in. You have anything but Dr. Ali, Muhammad, and Minister Enqi? Yeah, I'll take all of them. They don't even distribute all. I want it all. Because they know. They have to study you. And this is where the stem cell issue comes in. Okay? Because you're on a clock, so we don't have time to digest this information and play around. This is stuff you have to do like now. We're on a clock. That's what the stem cell thing is. The European cells, the original cells in Europeans, do not have the physical integrity to withstand the cloning process. So anytime they're talking about stem cell research, it is you. It is your cells they're talking about. Only black folk cells have the integrity to withstand the vigorous and the crazy torture they put themselves through to clone them. That is where the significance of Henrietta Lacks came in. That's what they discovered that was different about you and them. All right, because they couldn't clone a cell until they got her cells. Then once they got her cells, they was like, ooh, okay, let's get crazy now. Let's start chopping up black folks, stealing everything. All right? And when I start saying that, like last year we were going to do it. Some people was, Minister, you sound like you're reaching. I mean, they're stealing organs? That sounds a little crazy. June 25th. I'm mad I don't have the newspaper, I didn't bring it. I couldn't get out of the bookstore with it. It was like, give me that newspaper. June 25th, the Philadelphia Daily News. The front cover page, you can look it up. Okay, go in the library, smartphone it. June 25th, the Philadelphia Daily News. It's not a tabloid. It's not the Enquirer. The Daily News. 2 stories. A pastor, her son was from home from the military, went in the hospital, all his organs stolen.
Yeah.
The second story, right next door in Delaware, a white guy robs a skin bank. So the first thing before we get deep in the story is most people don't even know these banks exist. Skin banks, eye banks, liver banks, kidney banks, blood banks, muscle banks. They're banking you. And the hospital didn't even see the missing stem cell cultures. That's not even how they realized that they were getting robbed. They missed $350,000 in the accounting department. And then they started looking for the $350,000 and was like, oh shit, who is this guy, Delco? What the? Delco, oh my God, this is from the skin graft stem cell, what the hell? Now they're trying to figure out not only where the stem cells are at, what he did with them, trying to figure out where the money went, right? So how is it that they're generating hundreds of thousands of dollars off us and we're still in a financial situation? So my thing is we can get the finances right just by getting the body right. All we have to do is start charging folks for our body parts. Charging folks for the blood. I'm not saying don't donate. Well, I'm saying don't donate. But I'm not saying don't give. Give, but charge. Charge. When you go into the hospital and you sign away all your body parts, that's what you do. Sign away all your body parts when you go to the emergency room. First of all, a lot of us don't even know how to go to the hospital in the front door. Because I realized that when I was like 30, that I'd never been in the hospital through the front door. I always went in the emergency room. But there's certain laws. Like when you go in the emergency room, you give up all rights. You don't have any rights when you go to the emergency room. This is a law. You don't have any rights when you go to the emergency room because you're saying that it's an emergency. That gives the doctors the leeway to use what they have learned in any way they see fit to get you back on your feet again. So they can do anything in there. And then they make you sign thick pile of papers that usually just your headache and the fact that you don't like to read stops you from reading all the papers. You sign away because you're used to signing away. You're used to seeing your mama sign away. And she's used to seeing her mama sign away. So you just go in there and start signing the papers. And they start taking blood and this sample and that sample. And they can use those things after you leave any way they see fit to generate income. So now you see Dr. Oz representing this new company and Puff Daddy saying if you rub the lotion on and the skin clears up and blah, blah, blah. Those are stem cells they're selling right back to you. They're selling you back to you. They're selling you back to you. So when we start talking about ATK293, how they were feeding you, they're also feeding you to rub on you and you just don't even know. All right, so you have to figure it out. You are the money. You are the money. You are the money. You don't need products. You are the most valuable product on this planet. And if you don't wake up and figure that out before they can successfully duplicate you with the stem cells, they're going to put you in the oven. Okay? Because in Obama's first term, I think it was the second year, nobody made any noise about this except for the Jewish community. Obama invested millions of dollars into making the same type of railroad system here in America as they used in Germany for the Holocaust victims. The Jewish people made a big fuss about it. Nobody else made a fuss about it. They got quieted down. Boom. They haven't used the system. It's just there. It's just there. I think Alex Jones made a video where they were showing how at the stops along this railroad, they're stockpiling disposable coffins. Hundreds of thousands of coffins in these different places. But they're just sitting there because they need you to survive here. Recessive genes disappear every 7 generations. They need you to survive here. But once they can successfully make you up in dishes, because they have farms of your cells, farms, where they have football fields with nothing but just, it's football field size with nothing but stem cells, where they're cloning all your eyeball cells, your skin cells, your liver cells. I mean, just farms of you. This shit is no longer just in the Matrix. They have farms where they're farming you at your most fundamental level. Yeah. And you will not use that Metro Club. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, they got that laser technology now. All right? So here I went through some of the history of bodybuilding and talk about that coming from Africa. I want to skip through. So I love the Europeans with their nice complexion. Right? This is Olympia. I'll spend just a few minutes on this. This was designed to show white supremacy all over the planet. Alright, that was the whole purpose of this Olympia competition. But the God's always going to have to say this whole thing backfired on them and it didn't work out. On the left, you see Mr. Sandak. All right, Mr. Sandow is, they started, once they synthesized what they thought was the most anabolic hormone in your body, being testosterone, they figured that now they're ready to step on the global stage and prove the white supremacy thing, and it didn't work out. Because Arnold bumped into this guy. Let me show you. No, not this one. This guy. Who knows this guy? That's right. Who said that? That's right. Sergio Olivier. A man got ripped off, but he killed Arnold in every pose down. Every pose down. Look at that. Look at those arms. Look at Arnold's abs, almost non-existent. Right? But they gave it to Arnold, it's okay. Until this guy came in. And that was the end of that. Black folks have been proving black superiority in genetics ever since. Okay, Lee Haney had the record for the most Olympias back in a row. I don't know, until he gave it up to another gentleman who was a white guy by the name of Ronnie Coleman. He was not a white guy. They have never dominated this sport. Ronnie Coleman is the biggest human ever muscular. There's never been a more muscular guy than this guy on record. All right? Killing Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger looks like a little boy compared to this guy. All right? This is important though, because how many need to see that? All right? And there's the current Mr. Olympia. All right? Now, this guy is important because as we were doing our tour, and we're talking about switching to being vegetarian, you always come up with the, where do I get my protein thing? And oh, I don't want to be skinny, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm too old to work out. And if I work out and I'm vegetarian, I won't. This is how we kill that argument. This is my man at 61, a vegetarian. 61, vegetarian. All right, on the left. All right? Can everybody see the age down there? On the left, he's 61, a vegetarian. Right? 71 is the middle picture. Same guy, vegetarian. On the right, is this picture now. My man's 78. Nobody in this room is 78. This man is older than everybody in this room looking like that, vegetarian. Yeah. Right? And look at his confidence level raising up. You notice at 61, he still got his glasses on, his body's kind of sideways, not facing you. And as he gets a little older, he realizes he got all the young balls covered. Probably getting attention from the young ladies. He's facing you now, getting happy. Look at that smile. Now my man, he took everything off. Took everything off. He just naked now. I believe his name is Jim Morris. I believe so. All right? I just have to show you this guy so you know this is possible. This is what we look like when we're on our natural diet. This is what we look like. I couldn't put Herschel Walker up there, but Herschel Walker still eat bread. But he's a vegetarian. All right? And Herschel Walker never lifts weights, and he's like in his 60s, and he's outperforming all the young boys. In fact, there's a big argument whether they're going to let him back in the NFL or not. Yes, because he can outperform all the boys that are still playing. But it sets a bad precedent because now it's like, how are we going to let the old head back in the league? We telling people it's a young man's sport, because then now that wakes everybody up like, what? Okay, how come the black guys look like that? Alright? How the white guys? Let's see. Yeah, that's close up my man now. Oh. Yeah, we need to see that. Because that was the best of the best. That's the best they ever produced. But that's what my man looks like in his 60s. He's not even 78. He's not even pushing 80. All right? Looks like his heart's coming through his stomach. All right? Now, I can talk till I'm blue in the face, but the picture says 1,000 words. All right? So here's what we're talking about, and you'll start to hear this more, at least my more diet-conscious folks will hear about ketogenics. All right? Ketogenics is where white folks are even trying to limit their protein intake or their amino acid intake. agitate, right? Because they realize that leucine, lysine, isoleucine, which is a form of another type of leucine, threonine, phenylalanine, tyrosine, and tryptophan are completely different than the glucogenic amino acids which you see on the left. Glucogenic amino acids are amino acids that when left alone to their own devices in your body turns into sugar. All right? Turns into glucose. All right? Now, the only difference between them is the carbon backbone. I should have showed that, but it gets a little crazy. All right? We know that guy. All right? That's the guy that stepped up the prion. And the prions, I talk about the prions all the time because prions are a form of little bacteria that can't be destroyed. Okay, so minister Enqi's herbs, these herbs, say these herbs, with no herbs that can destroy these little nasty guys. No level of heat, there's no acid. They've been here since the beginning of this planet. The problem with them is they eat brain matter. That's the food source for them, brain matter. Okay, and they live in flesh. Right? This is the natural defense of all animals for other animals to eat them. This is why any cannibal has a much shorter life than a vegetarian. Right? Because their brain is being eaten from the inside out. Okay? There's no type of fish, okay, because I know we're going to get in, you're going to have somebody, well, I eat the wild fish, and you know it doesn't matter. Every type of flesh has prions in it. All right? So, does Minister Enqi have prions? Yes. All right? But how do you defend against prions? First of all, you stop consuming flesh. So you stop loading up on more and more prions. Second thing to do with the ones that you already have in there is you have to continue to learn new subjects which causes your brain to grow. Okay? So as long as your brain is growing faster than they can eat it, you are fine. You won't notice anything. All right? But for those of us that don't read books, for those of us that are not interested in studying a new language, for those of us that are not interested in studying new things, your brain will turn to mush. This is why dementia sets in. Mad cow disease is in you. Okay? You have mad cow disease. Now, the reason why the rates of this went up is because our lovely, lovely President George Bush, all right, set the stage for the farmers to start to feed cows. Okay? So cows are naturally vegetarians. Okay? White folks had a big uproar about this. All right? And there's some white folks that still make sure their cows eat grass, and there's most of the farmers, because they want to subsidize income from the government, they just feed their cows to other cows. So the mad cow disease is brand new. All right? Mad cow disease is brand new. Because cows, they don't learn anything, their brain's not thinking. So once they start eating flesh, it's only a matter of time before they just lose it.
How do you reverse
You got to keep learning. You got to keep learning. Keep studying. All right? You have certain types of proteins that grow in the brain. All right? ASPM. Look that up. ASPM genes, ASPM proteins. It grows your brain. As we learn new subjects, we get more neural networks, and the neural networks that are already existing get bigger and thicker and grow. All right? But most of us are not doing that. We're not learning anything. Even a lot of folks that come to these lectures, okay? I find that y'all are coming, yeah, Dr. Ali Muhammad, is this your new book? Oh man, this is awesome. 400 pages? Yeah, this must be deep. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this junk. Take that home. I see you 2 months later. You read that book? Yo, I skimmed through it. I was getting ready to go ahead and skim through it because I had flipped through. It was crazy though, it was deep. Ali killed that junk. He killed it. No, you have to read the book, the whole book. You have to stop skimming. Okay, skimming is not reading. All right, there's nothing that you can do lazily that's going to lead you to somewhere positive in life. You have to work for this thing. You have to read. You can't take herbs and still eat soul food and think you're going to get healthy. Well, I tried this guy's diet plan, that guy's diet plan, but it didn't work because you didn't work. Plan works, you don't. Okay, life is vibration. Vibration is movement. Movement is work. You have to work. You have to work. All right? All right. We're going to talk about FlowJo real quick. It wouldn't be Minister Enqi if I didn't mention white blood cells, right? White blood cells kill FlowJo. You just have to always reiterate that because you have to know white blood cells are not your friend. All right, because we all know Flojo. Flojo was killing them. Flojo was our black goddess specimen on a global scale and dominate, show our superiority in terms of the women. And how did Flojo die? Flojo had one of these, went through digestive glucocytosis because as your body gets more purified, all right, as you begin to exercise, you will have less tolerance for these unnatural substances in your body, all right? So the white blood cells went crazy in her body. She had an allergic reaction. She rushed to the hospital. The white folks were there to tell her in time what they tell everyone, and they said, oh my God, you have inflammation. This is a chronic situation. You know what we're gonna do. We can fix it. This is how we do it. Take an antihistamine. Get some antihistamine. Stop the histamine production in the body. And she took the antihistamine, and the antihistamine killed her. All right? So we need living examples of how white blood cells work in you. There it goes right there. Anybody still confused on that? A close picture of your little buddy. All right? And I challenge anyone to show you the difference between what these guys look like and cancer cells look like. All right? They will not be able to show you. All right? Now I want to go to this Egyptian thing real quick so we can talk about our ancestors, and I'm done. We are our ancestors. Okay. People ask me all the time, Minister Enqi. They say, Minister Enqi.
Oh, no.
I'm in the Kemetic sciences. Can you show me anywhere where the Cometians and the Egyptians said to be vegetarian because they ate meat? And I ask those niggas, and I emphasize niggas all the time, are you reading? Go to Coffin Text 184. It says it all throughout the Coffin Text. If you don't know what the Coffin Texts are, that's the Egyptian Book of the Dead, that's the Papyrus of Annie, that's the Pyramid Text. All of these are the funeral texts, the Coffin Text. You go to Coffin Text 184, it says not to eat feces, all right? Feces is waste, rotten flesh, bacteria, yeast, fungus, all of those are grouped under feces. All of those are grouped under waste. Because the one thing your ancestors did is they counted on you being intelligent, not dumb. They counted on you being smart enough to understand, so they didn't play with semantics, all right? That did not exist in languages recreated, all right? So when they told you not to eat feces in the realm of the dead, this is the realm of the dead, all right? If you need proof, every time your eyes pick up anything, your eyes have to flip them back upside down for you to see that image. Everything here is upside down. So again, if you look at the second part, it says not to walk upside down here. The same thing the Bible then reiterates and say, be in this world but not of it. All right, this is the upside down world. So your ancestors had to have intimate knowledge of biology to know that your eyes flip every image upside down for you to see. Because everything here is upside down. All right, to have power over water and air, that's electricity. All right, to go forth into the day, that is the light. All right, because these people here, all right, as you see my name, they love to eat shit. They're grooming you for it. You've been doing it already. It's in your food. It's in the potato chips called guanylite. All right? All of the meat packaging. It's okay for 5% of the dead weight of that meat packaging to be rodent feces, i.e. rat shit. Okay? Your packaged box goods, your canned goods, it's okay for all of it to have shit in it. Peanut butter. 5% of peanut butter is rat shit. Yeah, 5% of wheat bread is rat shit. They cannot get rats out of the machines in the packaging processing place. They don't have the money or the capacity to do that. All right, so they just make it acceptable for a small percent of it to go down into your food. All right, so people have a problem with Minister Enqi. They're like, Minister, I mean, we understand and we like the science, but you seem to curse. You know, you say shit and blah. You're eating shit. So why is it not okay for me to say shit? As many times I want to say shit, you might have had shit this morning to eat. That shows the level of insanity. You're eating shit, but you have a problem with me saying shit. Some of us are having, some of us are doing peanut butter on wheat bread sandwiches.
Oh, man. So that's 10%
You're
shit.
putting shit on shit. Following these folks.
10% is a lot of
Real
shit.
shit.
Real shit.
I missed half of that. Did y'all enjoy that? Yeah. Give it up. Give it up again. I want to show maybe a few slides, then we're going to jump right into Q&A and bring the brothers up so that we can close it out. I just do want to hook this up real quick. For us to ignite the conversation on us doing the Black Genetics Tour Part 2, and for us to establish a national policy through the literature that we produce and through these particular presentations that we produce, many of which are on college campuses, so our people can understand that we have developed a national policy for indigenous peoples in regards to their health. The reason why we have to bring the socio-political part to it is because we want to show and prove through the legal definitions of genocide, whether it's now self-inflicted or whether it's institutionally oriented, that you are going through genocide. It's happening. And that's not a small thing to consider when you ask yourselves, where are all these problems coming from? Where are all these issues coming from? Why can't our children? Why can't we? Why can't we? What you might not know, but you get an idea after tonight, is that this is a biochemically induced warfare, as Brother George said. It's happening right now, in your seat. Somebody ate the cheeseburger. And since we have been here since slavery, and other people have had the assets, all right, resources to create this environment, if we don't have an alternative environment that we can generate, then the sliding board continues. So the question becomes, what can we do together? What can we actually do together to create the institutions that have the answers? That part is actually already done. Now we have to continue to spread the knowledge of those particular institutions. All right? So your children's children will be impacted by what the Amber Institute, Aboriginal Medical Association, and what other institutes that we develop to get them the knowledge that they need. Or they will be on the other side with no knowledge of those institutions in the proliferation of what we see. So multiply what we see with diabetes and all the other diseases now by 3 generations, and you tell me what you see. What do you see? Genocide. Genocide. All right? So I want you to think back and reflect on whoever's planning this, whether you have the details or not of who they are. They're making an awful lot of creation of resources for themselves, if we want to call it wealth, money, or whatever. If you could take 10% of our people out of these problems, you could actually probably crash the stock market. Because of the proliferation of things that come from institutions that must prey on you to exist. So you talk about fungus. It's a big institution called Wall Street that's the biggest fungus on the planet. But it exists. All right? So it can't exist as long as we stay here. So we want you, if you know somebody in another city who needs us to come, contact us, and we'll come to the city and we'll air it out. We want to go to every major city again to do this part 2 so that we can get it out. So I only have like 2 minutes to show. Let's see if I can get it. I only to talk about, anybody here on medication? I'm going to solve the problem in about 5 minutes. To make you, or to give you the desire, to give you the desire to get off. I want to do that in these few slides. Let's see if I can sync this. All right, everybody, seeing this, right? Who was here on Monday? Last night. All right, so we have a film or documentary. Look for it. Support Urban Kryptonite. Once the documentary drops, many of our greatest health leaders, Dr. Afrika, some of the young brothers and sisters are in it. All right? And we love hidden colors. We love talking about racism. But if you're not talking about what they're doing to your body, you're missing a great episode. We need to find a way to always incorporate this discussion in anything that we're having, socio-political, etc. Because you can't have, sick people trying to administrate the affairs of people and not have some fungal activity going on. If you understand what I'm saying. Yeah. You're going to get pimped. Every time. It's going to happen. And you have, most of us, unfortunately, have situated ourselves to be in the perfect condition for parasites to feed off of us. You understand what I'm saying to you? If your mind is at a certain rate of operation, it's not going to happen to you. But if your mind is at a certain rate, you're going to be victimized by that particular paradigm. So the only reason this corruption exists is because we haven't taken a different path ourselves. All right, so take a look at that. So essentially what we have going on is nutritional racism. You heard about racism, right? Racism. Nutritional racism is your child going to a public institution, said public institution, with the expectation that they're going to get nutrition. And nobody in the health department in that locality, state, or whatever has addressed their genetics at all. And neither have we. But now we have the institutions to do so. All right? So I want to let's see if I can skip this. I got a number of slides. I want to get to this. All right, I got to make this one. I got to make it. This is it. Let's see if I can get it. All right, this is important because this is a part of a discussion I had inside of the debate that we had. I didn't get a chance to get to it. All right, how many people have ever heard the concept that energy cannot be created or destroyed? You heard that, right? All right. So if you go to school and you study thermodynamics, that's the first law, right? And the first law of thermodynamics is wrong. Not only am I saying it, now the scientists who operate astrophysicists have just proven it through a discovery that they made in 2012. In 2012, there was a phenomenon going on at the center of the galactic core where there was this huge gas cloud, right? Moving toward what is the center of the galaxy that we're in, the Milky Way. And what was actually filmed for the first time in the history of astrophysics in the modern time is that this huge gas cloud got sucked up into nothing. What we would call a black hole. Theoretically, it's called a black hole, but they don't know what it is. So there you have matter, right, and energy disappearing into nothing. So where did it go? They traced it, and I'm showing you this because that's the gas cloud there, and basically it broke apart like a string of spaghetti and disappeared and swirled into this hole and went where? Another dimension? Another universe? Wherever it went, it's not there anymore. So the scientists had already been discussing something they call the singularity. You ever heard that? 0 point, unified field theory, Albert Einstein. And the theory began to discuss space itself as not just an empty void, but as a substance that had gravitational power. So what this proved is that this little dot, which around, there's 16 stars are revolving around it, is empty space that has greater gravitational pull than all of those 16 stars. The question is, how does it happen? Because the only thing that we know that we're looking at is empty black space. Now, the only reason I'm bringing it up in a biological discussion is because the way that your body is designed, you have the power to attenuate that force. Attenuate means absorb. It's the original Holy Ghost. The original. Literally. So if you can attenuate something that has infinite gravitational power, that solves the problem on God. That solves the problem on God. Because if you're going to have any God in creation, we can describe that God as a black, infinite spiritual force. That human beings on this earth who have the natural biology have the power to attenuate. The question is, how do you do that? The only way you can do it is by living a natural lifestyle. Because these orbs that we're on become the vehicles by which we can attenuate that force. Mainly, Enqi being the sun itself. So you know, anybody who's practiced divination, if you have an altar, you have different entities on that altar. And what those entities are supposed to be is what? Vehicles for Olodumare or any of the any of the ancestors to convey their energy to you. But I need to implore to you that that's strictly symbolic. I need to implore to you that that actual item that you're wearing is not the thing that's attenuating the real force. All right? It's purely symbolic. The only thing that can attenuate force is other living things. So if you want to know where your orishas are, they're surrounding you and they're the celestial orbs. And this is why we study astro sciences, because we understood those entities as having interaction, energetic interaction. So I want to dismiss you following any idols, but people and real energetic living things. You need to do it. Because what happens is you will pray to that thing that doesn't exist, whatever it may be, a fictitious person or idol, and you start conveying your power to it, and that's one of the clearest signs that you are turning into a heterotrope. When you don't understand what your foundation is. So now, we can go and look across the whole planet, and we don't need to have any more debates on God. We need to have debates on biology and science so we can erase the God question scientifically. And then we can label you as phototropic or heterotropic and then divide the population up. And then we can deal with you. Because now we can show if a pimp is a heterotrope. We can just stop all these names, whether you're an agent and all that. No, you're a heterotrope. We don't even want to know if you're talking to the FBI. We want to look at your body and see if you have the potential to talk. Then there's no discussion. Because then we gotta spend extra money to form a unit to investigate you and to do all these things. We can look at you and say, no, nigga, you about to sell out. Because if you sell yourself out, who else won't you do? Man, the FBI agent slide you that number 2 grilled cheese. Nigga, it's over. Mr. Inky going to jail. Ali Muhammad going to jail. That's a pretty good standard to measure people. All right, so we have, and the other thing that's important about this is this atheistic mindset that has imprinted itself upon the people. It's just in the sense that it's your disavowal to the fictions that you have been given. However, any person who is a living being who will deny the fact that there is a creator or a supreme power in this universe is insane. Yeah. And they need to be quarantined so that we can give them some Amber Institute, some Aboriginal Medical Association. We need to quarantine them. Because they don't understand law and order. So when you see the disorder around in the organizations, it's because it's not founded on the proper principles. And if it's not founded on the proper principles, guess what? It's entropic. You know what entropic means? Entropic means you have a system, a material system, that does not have the ability to keep itself arranged because the energy that's around it, in it, or interfacing with it will destroy it. So we are walking around in original bodies, practicing colonial culture, trying to organize original systems. Nigga, you bound to fail. I'm watching you. I'm laughing at you like, okay. Even people in our society, I just look at them like, oh, really? That's what you're going to do? Oh, great. I have no jurisdiction over that. Great. I'm not participating. Because it only takes the sense of a child to see success or failure happen. All you got to do is look at it and use your intuition like, oh, that's about to be a car crash right there. So we participate in all these car crashes. And we got to get out of it. But you can't get out of it without having an understanding of absolute and natural law. That is at the bedrock of all of our discussion. Anything else is only going to add on to that. So let's see if we can get to your bills real quick. I'm building here. You're about to get mad at me right now. Hold on. Jesus is trying to stop my power from on high. So I'm not gonna let you do it, Jesus. Don't get mad if you're a Christian in here. All right, they changed that. So now, here's some things that I want to get across to you. The melanotropic peptide factor. I'm using that word. It's a word. I didn't make the word up. That word came out from melanin studies. All right, and there are volumes of books. I think I have some of the books on here. Let's see if I can show you those books. I need some batteries or something over here. All right. All right, these are the books. $1,500 worth of books. Source, synthesis, chemistry, secretion, circulation, and metabolism of the melanotropic peptide. These are hormones secreted from the brain to stimulate receptors on the cell to produce melanosomes in the melanocyte. That's how we can tell if you have melanin or not. So if your receptor framework is mutated or damaged, you don't have melanin, you have something else. You have to give it another name for it. And you don't have a way to activate it until you can repair the receptor framework on the cell. So now ask me what the receptor framework on the cell is made of, and then it will verify everything that Brother George was talking about in regards to dietary practice. Because you can't repair the receptor framework with the vegan diets that are being given today. You can't repair it. You're only going to create damage to it. All right? Next, biological roles. Next, mechanisms of action and biomedical applications. That's a fancy way of saying we're going to study you, we're going to identify exactly how it works, then we're going to learn how to use it against you. Kryptonite. So now you're asking us why we're doing a documentary called Urban Kryptonite. All right, so we're going to get out of here. I don't want to belabor this point. But I wanted you to see this. This is important. Like, for instance, our bodies have amino acids. But how many of our health teachers study the carboxylic acids to understand what types of nutrition that we need? Or could you name me one carboxylic acid that you learned about in school? You know all the amino acids. Name me one carboxylic acid. And the reason why that's important is because carboxylic acid is the precursor to what develops the melanotropic peptides. And the reason why you don't learn about it in class is because it is forbidden. Right? It's forbidden. And this is why, instead of having kumquats or citrons or other things sold here, they're selling these fake lemons and limes. Because that's one of the places you're going to find carboxylic acids in citrus fruits, in the pulp. And in the pulp of that citrus fruit, that natural one that you would have, does something to the receptor framework on your cell if you have damage to these receptors. So if you want to do any studying on receptor frameworks, get you some good books on what's called paracrine signaling. Paracrine signaling. It will show you how P-A-R, like parachute, parachute, para. Right in front of me, brother. Where's the marker? I don't know what it is. Paracrine. P-A-R-A-C-R-I-N-E. Paracrine. All right, paracrine receptors. That shows you these hormones that are being dumped into the cells, how they communicate. And then you get a PhD in a few days. So these are some of the things that we need to study. I know we use the word proteins, but the reason why I hate to use that word is because, to me, proteins are a fungus And if you study how proteins do what's called protein folding, all right, it shows that they don't have the geometry to hold the electricity. But when you study the melanocortin, the melanotropic peptides, they have a certain geometry to them when you study them under microscopic activity, and you can see the symmetry and say, wow, this is what real bodybuilding is. Not taking a bunch of creatine, trying to look cute, all right? But really being a crystallized form of yourself, all right? A real Iron Man or Iron Woman. So these are some points that I want to get to. And I'm not going to belabor those points because the brothers went through those. This is what I want to get to. This is what you need to study. How many people have taken some aspirin in the last few days? All right, cool. Any diabetes medication? Birth control pills? All right. This is what you need to understand. You put something inside of your body that looks like a pill. How is it able to catalyze with living things in the body? I'm going to tell you how. It has dead parts from animals and humans in it. All right? So I'll give you an idea. Black woman goes into hospital. Great. Hospital says you're going to have a baby. Great. Baby comes out. Give me that placenta, give me the cord blood. Why? Because I'm going to take those red blood cells and put it in a centrifuge, all right, to segregate it microsomally so that I can sell it to big pharma companies. And what are they going to do with these things? They're going to take these little microsomal particles and pieces of your red blood cell, and they're going to use it as constituent parts of that medication so the medication can upload into your body. Okay? All right? So basically this is just, if you want to get a technical term for it, receptor frameworks. I already talked about ligands in the body, certain types of ligands where minerals or something are attaching to something so it can have some type of activation. So inside of those pills is the blood of the people that are around you. Woo. Now this is not new. Me and Mr. Enqi already covered the subject. You might have the DVD. Do you have the DVD over there, the first one? If you don't have it,
No, he got it. My boy.
all right. Let me see if I think I got a copy of this book in here somewhere. Let me show you. This is not new. What I'm trying to show you is that making you, it's over there. They're making you into a cannibal. If you take medication, you are a cannibal. Furthering your heterotropic behavior. The pill is not doing one thing for you. Nothing. It can't do anything for you except feed the funguses that are already there so they won't irritate you. They have a good night's sleep, get the nigger-itis and go to sleep. They good. Till tomorrow. Hold on, let me see if I got it. There. Get this book. Mummies, Cannibals, and Vampires. The History of Corpse Medicine from the Renaissance to the Victorians by Richard Self. This is where the first pharmacopoeias developed by foreigners, what it was composed of. It was primarily composed of digging up mummies and eating mummies as a part of their alchemical processes to make medicine. And they continued that process on up to today. So we know what's happening to us. We don't have to theorize about this anymore. Literally. The cytochrome 450 enzymes are patented ways to upload human and animal flesh into your body. And when we study these things, we can find out the secret to any disease. All right? If you have a child who has mercury in their mouth and you're telling me they have autism, I know what the problem is. The mercury is coming in and knocking out all the minerals and binding to the sulfur. But there's sulfur ions, some sulfur ions surround the nerves. So when you see Alzheimer's, autism, all right, multiple sclerosis, these are all a result of this medical industry destroying us, destroying our people. So we have some answers for you. So I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm going to bring the brothers up. Y'all come on up. And what we want to do is answer any question.
That's first. But eliminate the autism.
Okay. It's my position at current research point that all said autism is caused by mercury toxicity, mercurial toxicity. And we're getting it through a few ways. Vaccines, that's the biggest. Dental work, where the child is getting the mercury amalgams in the teeth. Fish, all right? Big time. You stop eating all the flesh and you eat fish, I'd rather see you eating turkey burgers than eating fish. Because that fish is filled with mercury and it's going to cause some type of brain destabilization if you're not getting it imported from some very fresh waters, which there are very few places. So with the autism, what's happening technically is this. Mercury inside of the body, again, 101 chemistry, biochemistry. You have iron that's attached to certain ligands and receptors in the body for various reasons, or other minerals. The mercury comes in and says, watch out guys, home run, knocked out, and attaches itself to those particular things, all right? Which is going to create a whole destabilization. And this is why when I mentioned about the nerve, outside the tissues of the nerves, if you eat onions, that's one of the ways that you can improve nerve damage. I won't say original nerve tissue because it should only be temporary. But it's my position from doing the research from the people who are putting out papers that the mercurial poisoning is problem number one for said autism. And that if you take the certain things that you could to rid the body of mercury, all right? Because mercury binds to sulfur. And there's certain foods that you can eat, like red onions, that'll help with the mercurial detox. I've done it 3 times. I'm working on another person right now to get it done. The second thing is, mercury is going to destroy the TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. So you'll find, say it again? Iodine. Yeah, you'll find iodine deficiency and hypothyroidism as another case, that precludes. So you got these symptoms that's kind of like falling symptoms. And then it's just like a car. Once the battery goes, the engine goes, this goes, that goes, you can just follow the cascade. But you do need some specifics. Because somebody can say, well, I'm going on a vegan diet because I got hypothyroidism. And guess what? They'll make us a smoothie, a strawberry smoothie. And guess what? It's going to increase the problem with the inability to either assimilate iodine or have problems with iodine. And that's just a technical point. Doesn't mean you can't eat fruit. It means you don't want to eat that fruit. Or broccoli. You see what I'm saying? Or kale. So we do need some specifics. And this is why we do so much research. So we can know exactly what to tell you. Y'all can elaborate further on this.
No, what I would like to say is that a lot of the slides are in this book.
Oh, yeah.
Do not be fooled by the name of this book.
Oh, God.
I'm over there going crazy looking in this book. All right? There's a lot more than Islam in this book. So he's talking about melanin, the ancient breakdown, the Luxor temple. There's a lot of the slides you see up there. In this
That
book,
is
I'm
the
just
point.
saying.
That is
Yeah.
Islam.
Yeah.
Well, hey, listen, that's a good point because when you start dealing with modern medicine,
Right.
what? It was Qanun al-Tib, which was the book that was translated into Latin that became the corpus of all European medicine when they started dealing with the philosopher's stone.
Right.
All right? And that was written by Amor, all right, Avicenna. He wrote that book in the 9th century, and they translated it into Latin, and all of a sudden you see this Renaissance material and all these things going on. So it was always our people doing something. And so when you see me talking about some high-level stuff, listen, it's already been done. It's not something that we have to make up. But yeah, those slides are. That's why they cut down my rebuttal time, because they saw that fight.
Oh,
But it's all right.
It's in this book.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Chelation, as far as the point that I was trying to make about the phytic acid, what that has to do with is how the body assimilates and basically utilizes ionic reactions. So that's basically what we're all doing here with this form of alchemy that we're studying, because not everything is good and not everything is bad. We have to understand how they work together as far as what Enqi would call plasma dynamic, and that's really what we're studying. Chelation is just whether your body's going to assimilate the mineral nutrients into positive or negative ions. Ultimately, I think they're cations and anions. So basically, that's what it is that we're studying. This is the new form of alchemy, and we're incorporating it into our biology. This is what we represent right now.
Say the last part. Mangoes. Oh, taking it out
Late at night, or should the times of the day when you should be eating or shouldn't be eating.
Well, let me say something. This is my experience, and then y'all can elaborate. I don't know. If you're eating the pulp of the fruit, I don't care if you're eating it at 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't care if you're eating it at whenever. It doesn't matter. It's perfect fuel. Now, if you get up and eat some rice and Breyers ice cream, then you got a different discussion. But if you're eating fruit,
It really comes down to energy output versus energy input. So if you're putting a lot of stuff in, it's cool as long as you're burning off. You know what I'm saying? So even the perfect food, whatever that can be, depending on what they're promoting right now. Superfoods and side berries today. Next week it'll be, goji berry or coconut. Now it's superfood, right? So even that, if you're not exercising, burning it off, so like what I'm promoting, telling everybody doing the fruit fast now is you really want to get rid of that belly. Jog at night before you go to bed. So you jog at night before you go to bed, and then you throw something in there like some citrus fruit, some mango. That's going to help that burn that fat. So it just really depends on what you're doing. We can't be sedentary. Like we can't. These ladies, we got to work. Our bodies were never built to sit down. Sitting down cuts off the electricity to the lower extremities. So even when you come to this, we should start seeing people stand up every so often and stretch. When I be on the Greyhound bus, 12, 13 hours, just going to different cities, you gotta stand up and stretch. They be looking at me like, sir, can you sit down in a minute? I'll sit down when I get ready. After I stretch. Okay, I'm stretching every so often. You gotta do that. You gotta get the blood flow down. The blood gonna flow up here regardless. You got pumps. But down here, you don't. All right? And women, they have a lot more fat on your body, a lot of fat cells. The fat cells are larger. You need to be moving a lot more than we do. All right? You got to move those legs and keep that stuff circulating.
One thing I can say about that is metabolic energy is what it takes for your body to do things like thinking, digesting foods, healing and stuff. So if you can increase your body's metabolic energy by reducing the amount of stress on it that it has to use to digest foods that don't benefit you, then you can reap the benefits of being able to heal fast. Last year around this time, I was literally dead sick, dying of liver cancer. I'll go into that. You probably have to look at a video as to how that all transpired because I have to break down the details to explain how a raw vegetarian ended up with liver cancer. But metabolic energy has to do with all the breakdowns that we want to deal with. So any food has to do with whether it's giving you enough energy to heal yourself or to go. And all the information that these guys disseminated tonight pretty much breaks down that into details, as well as my nutrient retention rate. So you just want to study the metabolic energy. And also thinking takes up a lot of metabolic energy and stimulates neurotransmitter activity. This is why we need our minerals. So you basically want to reduce the amount of stress on your body by reducing the things that your body has to deal with in conjunction with dealing with this environment, the stressful, parasitic, heterotrophic environment that we're in. That's why I just want to add that. If you look up metabolic processes.
I got a really big question, but I'm going to slide it down like one. I'm doing like this at 60 years old, right? You've been eating foul for about 60 years. But the thing is, I got a mom who I really need to get this information into her head. What you guys are talking about. Really old, set in her ways. She's about 60. She's been diagnosed with cancer, has circulatory problems, like you were just talking about, and other things. But something that's going to kind of like bring her out the dark.
Well, I see this on circulatory issues. What you can do is, and this across the board for everybody should be doing this as just a therapy to take care of yourself. Like we got to get into that. We got to get into taking care of ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like the way you take care of your car. Every so often you get an oil change and all this kind of foolishness, and you don't do the same thing for your body. So circulation, maybe every 3 months, and this is for us that are in good shape. Primrose oil capsules, take them, and then also rub the oil and mix the oil with oregano oil. Mix the primrose oil with oregano oil and rub that on the lower extremities, because the reason why diabetes, we got so many people getting their feet and stuff cut off, and then the families hide them and don't show them, don't let people see them. We need to see them people with their extremities cut off. That would help people get a better idea of what diabetes looks like. But the reason why is because the first thing that happens is sugar. The processed sugar is like little grains of sand. Little grains of sand, and as your muscle cells start to get tired of you having all that sugar flowing throughout the body, and you not provoking the little GLUT4 molecule inside of each muscle cell to go ahead and chew that stuff up, it just builds up into the cells, and the capillaries down in the feet are the smallest in the body. The sugar is actually almost damn near the same size as the capillary. So as this sugar, like little piles of sand, piles up in those capillaries, no blood can flow down to the lower extremity. So the oregano oil mixed with the primrose oil, and you take it internally at the same time, you start rubbing those things, it'll help break that stuff down and get some circulation in there, but then she's going to have to move, all right? So even if you have to, and trust me, I had a brother that had to do this for his mom, she had cancer, terminal. Even if you have to, like you're teaching her how to dance, even if you have to put her up on, stand up, brother, all right? This is my brother. Right, pause. Right? Even if you have to put her up on your feet and carry her around outside so she can walk, you're walking her. You got to get her to do it. You think she can do it on her own. But that oil is good for everybody. So even if you're in good shape, get you a nice hot bath, open up them pores, mix that primrose with oregano oil. And oregano oil is expensive. So be careful, because as we talk about it more, there's a lot more brands of oregano oil coming on the market. And I learned about oregano oil from the big homie in the back. Bam. That's right. Bam put me onto the oregano oil, and I went and did some research. Like, what Bam talking about? I've been loading up pizzas with oregano for the longest, and then they helped me out. It's like, oh, it's a whole different type of thing. What they're selling you for seasonings and what they sell you as a concentrated extract. Now I don't leave home without the oregano oil. That's like my American Express card. Thanks to me. So when you mix that with the primrose oil, after you open up them pores with heat, that stuff gonna go right in there and start breaking that stuff out immediately. My wife's leg was broke. The doctor said they didn't know how to get the oxygen back into her foot because, it was too much clotting in the blood. I said, don't worry about it. We're gonna put a little heat pad on that joint, open it up, rub that oregano oil in there, black and blue disappeared in like 24 hours, oxygen was in there. So that's all you gotta do for the circulation issue. But she has to stop. Right, because the best solution in the world doesn't work if we're still going with the problem. Our brands of plant-based diet. Yeah. So we've got right. So like one of the brothers, Brother Morgan, that brings me in, Brother Ali all over the world. His son just had an issue where they were going to biopsy his neck for leukemia because he couldn't get out of bed. He was bedridden, JD, and he didn't know what to do. So he panicked, but he stayed strong though. He stuck his guns. Instead of most of us, we panicked and run the white folks. He ran the eyelid, finished thing. So he started giving them the energy and the alchemy. He combined that with the magnet. His boy was back playing baseball in 4 days.
And let me say something about
Action
vitamins.
is the name of the formula.
Another point on the vitamins. If you go into GNC and health stores, you need to understand that you got two factors. And I have to say this in all humility. Most of the ones that you're buying from GNC and all those places, that's already been co-opted by some biotechnology company, Monsanto, all of them. And then you have the herbalist who doesn't know black biology. So who taught them to combine the herbs and what testing model do they have to show that it's, the proliferation of it? So a lot of times people just everybody can become an herbalist in 24 hours. And then they can't identify no plants. They have no years of research. You know what I mean? So not to knock anybody, because people need to be able to do things, but it's just you're a naturopath for 24 hours. Like, yeah, I watched Dr. Sabi and I'm a naturopath. Like, Nah, dude, it's not how it happens. Come in the ring with the Lions and see if you can have this conversation. Then we know what you're doing for your people. And we need to have that kind of professionalism and proficiency. So that's why we're answering like it is. We're not shooting down the essential nature of what you need, but we're saying go to some people who have some experience on it. It's going to help you out.
Where I was at with the liver cancer, I've used Minister Enqi and Dr. Muhammad's products on myself. I've literally trusted my life to these guys. That's why I'm up here, because it's an honor to be up here. These are the greatest scientists on the planet. These two are the guys that brought me out, that made me feel like, okay, I gotta get my information out there. I was scared. Right. Really. This is the most gangster thing in the whole wide world. Keep it 100. Like, yes. This is the revolution. This is what we need. This is that time. So I don't want to get long-winded.
Yes, sir.
Much respect.
Hold on. Let's go. Yes, ma'am. Come. Go ahead, bro. Okay. Speak up.
I've been up for 4 days.
4 days.
My son is having sickle cell crisis right now.
Okay.
And I need help right now. I'm not taking him back to the doctors after sticking him every 10 seconds, swollen, and joints and all this. I can't do it. I mean, this is my child. I can't see him.
Where you live at, bro? You in Harlem?
I'm in Brooklyn.
You in Brooklyn?
Yeah.
Talk to the brother at the end. Yeah. Get it, bro.
One more question. I know you said citrus fruits. What about the spilled orange and sour orange?
I mean, at any different level that you're at, you know, it's better than the steak.
Right.
It's better than the steak. But
Give me the real.
the real is that when you peel it off, you're gonna see all the fungus in it. I mean, you're gonna it's there.
You want to do a kumquat or a citron like you
Yeah. They sell kumquats, they sell other things. A lemon would be better. A lemon itself would be better. And using the fluids in the pulps. I mean, most of the oranges they don't even have seeds in them. They're organic. Huh? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's better than the ones that you can use it. You can use it, you know, at the level at any level that you're at. We're not trying to make you, you know, jump from Z to A, but we are saying, you know, there are things there that especially if you're dealing with conditions. We are dealing with certain levels of conditions. But the orange is hybrid. It's hybrid. It's hybrid. Thank you. Sister Aisha.
As opposed to like Caribbean or Africa. I know that people subsequently from there, but it seems much more prevalent here.
All right, didn't hear the question. The question is about why is high blood pressure so prevalent here as opposed to Africa or the Caribbean or other places? Y'all want to touch on it before you get the question?
In the slide earlier, that was showing that comes out of competition between circulating vitamin D in the body versus circulating glucose. So as we move away from the equator, Caribbean, we get less vitamin D in the body. So it tends to be much higher levels of circulating glucose. And it's the glucose, it's the sugar, the table sugar that we're eating that's giving us the problem. Because when you deal with glucose flow throughout the body, you're going to have the first place we got, and this is why the physiology and the anatomy is so important to understand how the body works and how, I don't know if anybody paid attention. Me and Bess were having a little tiny debate right before the lecture started. That's what we were kind of talking about. Is the body really a bunch of organs or is it one organ, right? So we kind of use certain things euphemistically because we've been indoctrinated with a certain understanding of the body, and that kind of limits how fast we can go with the stuff that we have, because the conversations that me and Ali have in the house are crazy. Some of the stuff I was going to put up, I was going to do like a behind the scenes of the Black Genetics tour, and I went through some of the stuff, and I was like, man, some of the stuff is just so crazy, it might even be counterproductive to give it out prematurely. So what I'm saying is the body has 3 times as much lymphatic fluid or circulating plasma and water than blood. So we tend to put a lot of emphasis on blood. It's actually the body's water that's important. And we look at the kidney as being in charge of that, but the thymus and the thyroid are in charge of the kidney. So when we go back to the slides earlier, one of the things that we were talking about is magnesium deficiency. Magnesium deficiency causes high levels of potassium and sodium retention, which is one of the main problems and why the kidney stops functioning. Okay, but you can only have high levels of potassium and sodium when you don't have magnesium there. So how does that work? When you have those high levels of potassium and sodium, you have what's called high blood pressure. That's just your kidney working a lot harder to keep your lymphatic system clean, and that thickens the blood. As the blood gets thicker and encounters more viscosity on its way traveling through the circulatory system, your heart has to pump more. And then there's the difference between Chinese medicine and Western medicine. I know this kind of sounds a little crazy, but you got to follow. When you go see a Chinese doctor, they check you 12 different pulses. 12 different pulses. That means there's a lot of different pressures being exerted in the body to keep you healthy. The one I like to focus on is the oncotic pressure. When you check the blood pressure, they're not talking about oncotic pressure. They're talking about the pressure that the cells exert on the cell membrane in the circulatory system to push toxins out. That's cool. Oncotic pressure is the pressure that the blood plasma exerts on the cells in the circulatory system to move the minerals and nutrients into the cells. So as that becomes more difficult because plaque and other things build up around the cells and the walls, that pressure is going to go up. So as we start to see dietary changes where we start to move away from the meats and the processed stuff and we get more sunlight, that's going to relax that system. Vitamin D is in your body to convert cholesterol. The sun converts cholesterol into vitamin D, which relaxes those things throughout the body. This is why sun makes us feel good, because it's relaxing the inner muscles in the body. So the lack of sunlight is what is keeping our high blood pressure up. I could have just said that one sentence. Right? The lack of sunlight keeps the blood pressure up. But I kind of wanted to go through some of those things so that way we can have the understanding of why the sunlight lowers the blood pressure. We need that. And why Europeans are not experiencing the same level of high blood pressure, because they don't have the same level of requirement for vitamin D, nor do they have the same levels of cholesterol floating throughout the body.
I want to add just on that point, and this is a good thing to study. If you get the book Mucusless Diet Healing System by Arnold Ehret, one of the things that he points out is that the lungs are responsible for the heart beat and its pressurization. So another thing that is incorporated into this whole idea of high blood pressure is the fact that you need more gas inside of the arteries and the veins to move the plasma. And I'm saying that to say, when brother was talking about phototropic or photosynthesis or whatever word that he used for it, we have to understand that as human beings, when we're in the sunlight, we go through what is considered photosynthesis. All right, because you can breathe all you want, but there's only certain levels of oxygen in the state that we're in now that you're going to increase. So the nutrition is important, but the solar gazing and the solar bathing is going to help catalyze the activity to increase the operation of oxygen in the body. And you need that gas inside of the operation of the heart and in the veins and arteries in order to keep the pressurization right, or at a certain level. So all the fungus and other things that's going to develop because you're not out there inside of rock drinking that sunlight, it's going to be problematic.
What book is that in?
Huh?
What book is that in?
Which one?
Solar gazing.
I forget, the book is over there. Aboriginal Diet of the Gods.
So are there certain hours that are more beneficial to sun No.
If you're starting off, you probably want to start out earlier in the morning. But once you get to a certain point, I mean,
Guys are living, yeah.
right when he or she is right ahead, above us. Go out there in the middle of the day. Don't do it now because you might pass out.
Yeah, I want to build on that. So when you first start to introduce yourself to the sun, if you haven't been getting a lot of sun, it causes you to detox. UV radiation as well as infrared radiation will cause you to detox. So that also gets circulation going, and it also has a reaction with your hypothalamus that can help you increase the potential in your lymphatic system to get that system going as well. But the sun does a whole lot for us. But when you get bumps from being out in the sun, I used to have eczema real bad. If I was out in the sun, this is based on the diet that I was on when I showed those pictures. If I was out in the sun for 15 minutes, I would have huge rashes across my arm, on my neck, on the back of my leg, and it felt like hell. because my body was responding with a histamine reaction based on the things that were crawling around in between my tissues, trying to get away from the sunlight. So you don't want to be afraid of those things. That's just something that happens. But you do need the raw diet to facilitate being able to fully assimilate the sunlight.
That part is important.
And I'm still healing. I wouldn't say I'm healthy yet, but I sun gaze as much as I possibly can. I won't mess your eyes up. I stare at it morning till night as much as I can. So hold on. Let Bam go.
I just want to add one
Okay,
thing
go
to the
ahead.
sun. I want to talk about the sun. I just want to add one little piece on. This is what makes you, the detox effect of the sun is what makes people hide from the sun. All right, so when you go out into the sun and you out there for 10, 20 minutes and you start feeling that little nauseousness, that's because you are toxic. All right, the more your body is clean, that's how you can tell. That's how you can gauge your health. All right, go out into the sunlight, 12 o'clock, and see how long you can stay out there. If you're still at the point where you can take off your shirt, play 4 or 5 games of basketball out there, you in good shape. Right? If 10 minutes starts to make you feel a little woozy, that's because all of your tissues are starting to contract and relax like this, and it's pushing those toxins into the blood, and it's putting you to sleep. All right, so the cleaner you get, the more sunlight you'll be able to take.
All right, we're only going to take a few more questions. Go back.
Dr. Michelle, Mother's Child, and you stepping in and you getting a type of medicines or what they claim as an emergency, and you drinking their waters that got the fluoride in it, and we need to find out what is a defense that we could be taking, whether it's in fruits, vegetables, or whatever you come up with, because they also got these certain people who are becoming like zombies, like the brother that was in Florida that ate, the people down there, the other person in China that ate somebody on the train, and the brother down just some blocks down in the house in development projects that ate the woman down the block. So we need to know what type of stuff that we can start taking.
Right.
Because they're doing something. Coca-Cola's buying up Fairways, other things are buying up Whole Foods, and what you think is natural is not natural. So we need y'all to come up and step our games up more stronger, because there's a battle going on now, and we need to know other things that we can start taking for when they start putting any type of aid stuff, and we have to run to them for emergency, or somebody goes somewhere and they might stick a little grain of rice, which is a microchip in your body, other things that will destroy the stuff that they're trying to put in your body that might make you a zombie, or might put a microchip in your body. How to destroy all this type of stuff that they're trying to put in your body if we can't catch and find y'all.
Eat drugs like
Two
kitchen.
things that are going on.
Mama Atomic.
Eat drugs like kitchen.
Twice a year, we're doing the fruit fast. We're doing the 40-day fast starting in June, and we do it for the indigenous Ramadan for 30 days. There's 70 days that if you're not living that as a normal lifestyle, you can begin to acclimate yourself from it. Now, let me give you an example of how important that is. I read in the book from Arnold Eric that he did a test on himself after eating fruit. This is a European. After eating fruit for 2 years, he cut himself to see if he would bleed. And he didn't bleed. Then he did another study on himself where he did like 90 or 100 some days with alcohol and other stuff, cut himself, and he was bleeding. Then he did straight vegetables, and he cut himself, and he was still bleeding, but it healed quickly. I'm saying that to say we don't have to guess about what will bring us to proficiency. The question is, how quickly can we move towards it? All right? There are answers. So if you start with the fruit fast, that's a good way to get the body acclimated, to get the feeling, and then you can see the feeling, and then you get to actualize yourself. Like, wow, I just did however many days all fruit, and this is how I'm feeling. Now it's a decision. Because at that point that you can accomplish that one thing in 40 days, you absolutely probably never need to have a conversation with me ever again. Except to remind yourself of how you cheat.
That's right.
And one thing I wanted to elaborate on was you said the zombified state. Now, one of the things I didn't get to cover in my slides were the correlation between what we see as mental illness and parasites. Parasites affect the central nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. They have an ability to control the charge that would normally signal to us what we're feeling, so they can alter our palate. They can also alter our social interactions towards one another to increase the probability of serotonin production, which then the fungus then becomes a nitrogen asphyxia, and it creates ammonia in our bodies and deeper dehydrates us. So what we see happening in areas where we don't have access to good foods is due to basically a lack of knowledge of how serious the parasite game is. Parasites have intelligence. We're the counterintelligence to parasites. And we're literally the only people doing it. And it's because of our diet and our practices that have allowed us the integrity to be able to come across this information. And it's the realness that allows us to put it out to you, given that we're in the Armageddon right now. This is the Armageddon. It's taking place spiritually, but that means that it has to do with the electromagnetic potential between your body and how you assimilate what goes on around you. And that's what's really, that's what it is right here.
Yes, sir.
Sick George.
I know, right?
I got one thing to say.
I'm ready to get at it.
I got one thing to say that really drives home Bam's point, though. Everybody should go and look at the movie Transcendence, because that's getting ready to slip past everybody's radar. I just watched that movie. Morgan Freeman is in it. Johnny Depp is in it. And they're talking about where they're at right now with technology. All right? They've given up on trying to create the AI and now trying to just upload consciousness and go from there. All right? So we've had brothers like Siddiqui Bukhari on the West Coast banging on it, but we have to begin to understand that this is a real thing right here. And a lot of us are already at stage 1 and 2 of converting over to the nanotechnology. So if you're on a dialysis machine, you are the first wave of customers. They already have you waiting. All right? They get ready to tell you, hey, listen, all we got to do is inject you with this once every 6 months, and you never need to go on dialysis again, because we have the little machines that are cleaning you from the inside out. And so the plan is, because I've already read some of the material, the plan is that they get ready to put, what they're saying is that your metabolic system, and so you're going to be the number one consumers for this, as we are the number one consumers for everything else. So since we're leading the forefront with metabolic diseases, they're positioning this as God has made a mistake.
Right.
God is not really that sharp, and the white man's a lot sharper. And so what they're going to tell you is that you don't need your digestive system anymore. Okay? We're getting ready to put the little nanobots in there, and the nanobots will release the minerals in plant form throughout your body throughout the day. So we'll have the nanobots that release the nutrition for you throughout the day, and then we'll have other nanobots that'll come through and clean up the waste, so you won't even have to use the bathroom. All right? And they've already tested that with a test run out there with the oil spill. All right? So they have the nanobots that are getting ready to come into your body to do the food, the feeding, the ones that will clean you up, so you'll not need to have to worry about getting sick or anything like that, but you will have to worry about your consciousness competing for the synthetic goodness in your body. And the idea is, oh, well, I'm not going to sign over my consciousness to anyone. How many of us has Facebook?
Right.
Don't be scared to put your hand up. That's right. You've already signed over your consciousness. That's where they're pulling it from. All of the social networks. So they're getting an idea of how you think, and they're loading that up to the central computer that's then going to duplicate your consciousness, etc., and they're going to upload this to the nanotechnology. And it's funny, because in the movie, see, I think me and Ali be playing games with y'all. Oh yeah, well, the rhesus monkey, and Dr. Clark said that we're all from Africa, and blah, blah, blah. In the movie, they use rhesus monkey as the template for how they upload the consciousness to the computer. All right? So they use the rhesus monkey to practice. Once they perfect it with the rhesus monkey, then they go right to the European, and they do it because the European, obviously, if we've spent 6 months breaking down to you, has a similar biology and makeup with the rhesus monkey. Okay?
And just to add on to Ms. Enqi, that movie was written off of a real documentary called Transcendent Man.
Yep.
And guess what? It was written by who? The director of technology for Google, the Jewish boy, Ray Kurzweil. So he has the book, The Singularity, and he's saying that what Mr. Inky is talking about will be implemented by 2029.
That's right. And, hold on, let's go further with this.
Yes.
They have already predicted your extinction in the next, by 2050.
Yep.
We are the first generation, all right? If you are between the age of 35 and 50, you are the first generation to start to bury your children in mass. All right? So whenever the parents start to bury the children in mass, when the parents are outliving the children, that means the end game is already here. All right, so the genocide was already at work for the last 200 years. Now it's over. Now you just got to die off. Now they're just waiting for you to die off.
All right.
They're already done with it.
I'm gonna do this real quick.
That's correct. That's the same thing with vitamin A and vitamin D. So we have to be careful getting that vitamin A in because vitamin A and vitamin D use the exact same cell receptors on the cell. So they compete for penetration. So if you have a lot of vitamin A, more than you need, like copper and zinc, those are antagonists. So as long as you're at the right levels, you cool. But we as black folks have to concentrate on vitamin D. Vitamin A is not even something we need a whole bunch of because that is a lower level pigment. That's a carotenoid type of pigment for orange and blah, blah, blah. So if you notice, the palms of your hands will start turning orange if you start eating a whole bunch of vitamin A. So that's not even something that we need in mass, in a lot, high doses. So that is a very good point.
I just want to say,
Okay, hold on. We gotta stay on time, y'all. I'm about to pull the police on you. I haven't reached the police.
I just wanted to make a comment on that. You guys work there's a trailer called Come Back called Lucy. I'm not sure if you guys saw it.
I saw it.
I wanted you guys to expand on that.
So yeah, when he's talking about the new movie, I seen like a preview for it. It's about a woman, a white woman who's capable of using 100% of her brain power, and she's doing all kinds of fantastical things. But what we call this conscious community, and what we're doing right here with our diet, with the research that we're doing, is cultivating more of our brain potential, and we're utilizing it in a biological, organic way, so we can assimilate back within nature to fix the problems that we have. So they're basically putting out that type of programming right now to get people off the reality of the topic, which is what we're doing right here. So we're the people doing it. We're taking the science.
And we're already good with our whole brain, but we've been subject to so many different frequencies that create cognitive dissonance in the brain that the right and the left are in competition. But our ancestors didn't teach that. That's not an African concept. That's European.
Okay, listen, brothers and sisters, we have to get out. So get some products. Let's try to be out of here. We got